going to be something worthwhile. So we welcome you, we invite the acting university librarian to give us a welcome address to declare this workshop in person of Mr. Oronsho Femi.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Morning,
yes, as a way of introduction, my speech shall be very short, and it is drawn from a prominent quote of Benjamin Disraeli, which says that there shall be no positive enlightenment without information literacy. And without information literacy, there shall be no better nation. And again, he said that no nation rise or can rise above our library. So we can see the imperativeness of information literacy and knowledge, economy and delivery. And I want to appreciate everybody for our coming to this training. And I believe so strongly that this training is going to have positive impacts in our day-to-day roles as academics. Thank you and God bless you.
Without delay, we move straight to the first discussion for today, which will be anchored by Mrs. Julanke and myself, and it's going to be on smart session.
Good morning once again, Zazama.
Good morning.
So, this is our first place of call today, smart searching. We want to talk about online literature search techniques and UNIMED library resources. Talking about literature search, I want us to discuss what is it, what challenge have we encountered as academics in searching for literature. I know even right from being an undergraduate, it was one of our requirements for us to be a graduate of the university. We had to have this long essay, which we call our project. We did that for masters and for as many of us that are doctors. As academic, our work centers around writing and publishing. So as a person, I want us to break this ice. What challenge, can someone tell us challenges that he or she has ever faced in searching for literature?
Information. We usually supply with numerous of things, which most of them are irrelevant. So to narrow it down to our own interest is always very difficult at times. So another one is this: even when you have our own target, some of the time, or even most of the time, to access the journal is another issue. I think Mr. Kupola can testify. There are times I will forward the details of the journal to him to help me to access them.
So that you can have access to the full journal and not just the abstract. Yes, and that is why we are organizing this training. Many a times we go to the web, we want something that is relevant to us, but what we'll see is this magnanimous information and one information coming to you. So how do we narrow it down and how do we sieve it to get what is relevant to us is what we want to talk about today. Thank you for that, sir. So this is the content of what we'll be talking about today. We want to identify information sources for our research, the better ones that we can use. We want to talk about the smart searching techniques that can help us get what we want and not everything that the internet has to give. Then we'll now be talking about UNIMED library resources and more. Like my colleague said, I'll be taking this session with Mr. Kukuola. So he will be coming in at the third phase, UNIMED library resources and more. So let's move to what is information, what is literature search. Literature search is just about searching online for resources that are relevant to your research. Whatever thing you conceive in your mind, you are not the first person it has occurred to. Someone has worked on something like that. So you want to search for others that have like minds concerning what you have in mind. You want to research on it and know. Someone has thought about it. someone in Ghana, someone in Canada, someone somewhere. So you want to see what has been done concerning this thing. So you want to identify researches that are similar to your own topic of research. You want to look at the central phases of that research process, especially in the science. What method this has been used? If I want to extract the active ingredients in a particular leaf, has someone extracted the active ingredients before now? What method did that person use? What was the phases that the person went through in doing that particular research? Another thing we must know about literature search is that it's a back and forth thing. You don't just do it before you start your work and end it there. In fact, it does not end until you publish that article. Because when you are thinking about, when you conceive your title, you have to do literature search. You have to know what is trending in your field. Then there is another thing why you need to do this, especially when it has to do with your topic. At times, the terminologies change. At times, the terminologies get modernized. Before now, a very good example I like to use. Before now, we used to talk about information technology. So people write about information technology. At a stage, it's changed from what? From it to what? Can you say that out loud, sir?
Information communications technology.
Thank you, sir. ICT. You were talking about IT before, but later we started talking about ICT. If you had not researched, if you have not searched for literatures, you would not know that in that your particular field, the trend has gone beyond IT and the trend is now ICT. So when you keep sending your paper, they will be like, we are past this level. We are not talking about, we are talking about ICT. So that even from the conception of the topic, you have to know what is the new terminology, what is the new trend. Then, we must be sincere with ourselves. Literature search is not easy, especially if you do not know the search techniques you can employ. It can be time consuming, it can be a very, very difficult task if we do not employ the right techniques to literature search. And that is why we are doing this. We've just talked about this, why we need to conduct this. Academic communication demands that we use published literature. There is no way you would want to publish now that you don't have to cite someone that has done something that is similar, or someone that you are bridging a gap. You have to let us know that gap you want to bridge. You have to let us know what has been on ground and what you are building on. Another reason is to confirm the genuineness of your work. How true is your work? Is there any other person that supports this? Are you finding out something new? It provides you access to data and research methods, like I said the other time. Someone that wants to extract an active ingredient. So it helps you to know that, okay, this is the data, this is what I need to do, and all of that. And it's a way of staying abreast of current development in your practice and best practices in your field topic. When you are thinking, you have to consult literature. What is the right terminology? How are people framing this? You have to start with that. When you do your research questions, you need literature review. When you are talking about the search plan, everything is interwoven. It comes this way. When you get to this way, you want to see the keywords, even when you want to search. You want to evaluate record. You want to search. Everything is interwoven. You can see it. It's an iterative process. It's interwoven. When you are doing your discussions, you still need this literature because you have to refer to whatever thing you had seen or whatever thing people had worked on earlier. So it starts from the word go when you start thinking and would not end until you have published that article. It does not end when you send the paper out. Why? Because reviewers will review and can decide to send it back to you to say, do this more. So when you get it back, what will you do? You go back to literature search. So it does not end until you have published that particular article. By the time you want to publish another one, you start the process all over again. So we are now talking about literature search, literature search. Literature search is all about information. Sourcing for information and data that are relevant to our research. At this junction, let me tell you that informations are classified into 3 different classes. We have the primary, the secondary, and the tertiary. So the primary are the ones that are instantaneous from the word go. The ones that you can relate with. This is fresh from the oven. Dr. Akela has worked on something. He has investigated something about the 100-level physiology students in UNIMED. And you have access to that paper. It's a primary source. He conducted it.
Line in.
It's a primary source. Diaries, interviews, data that you collect, they are primary source. They are raw data of information. And they are useful, very, very useful to us as researchers. Then the secondary source of information refers to the ones that are being synthesized from the primary source. You have your textbook. You want to write this textbook. So you took from what he has written, you took from other things people have interviewed, you have seen. They are secondary sources. That does not mean they are not relevant to us. Examples are textbooks and all. Then the tertiary source of information is the confluence of the two, primary and secondary, gives birth to the tertiary. So this is what we have. And this arrow is showing us that from primary, information timeline is increasing to the tertiary. So you get it right on time. By the time it's getting to this place, the recency is gradually reducing. When you take out the journal, it's just been written 2021, 2022, the timeline is. By the time it's becoming secondary, someone has taken from it, and before the person can process and publish the book, 2023. Before it's now, say someone else, oh, this should not just end here. We can use this even in this encyclopedia. Then you have it and this. So when you use the primary, the recency is actually is still very, very current and not. So these are the primary sources. We have the journal articles, we have poems, we have diaries, all of these are examples of primary sources. These are examples of secondary sources, all of them. Let me go back to this. All of these primary sources can be useful to us because everything you see here, you can actually cite them. Newspaper, you can use it for your research work. You can use it in your writing. Grade literatures, government publications, all of those, we hardly use them. We only use journal articles. But all of those are relevant and we can use it and we can actually cite them as reliable sources. These are secondary sources and these are tertiary sources. So, let's move to the work of the day. We want to search, that is why we are here. We want to go to the net and get only those things that are relevant to us and not those that are not relevant. So the first thing to do if you want to go to the net and get what is relevant to you, irrespective of your topic, is to know that topic. And once you know that topic, the next thing is bring out the keywords. The keywords in that topic is what you will use to search online. Not the whole of that topic. Not the influence of ethanol in extracting active ingredients or what is the hibiscus flower. We are not going there to write all about. It will bring you everything that is not relevant to you. If we go there to write that long essay. But what we need to do to get what is relevant to us is to bring out the keywords in that our research title. So let's take this example. This title says, to what extent does exercise improve the quality of life for people with diabetes? So we have the keywords here. Let's identify them. It's already on the screen. We have what? Exercise, quality of life, and we have diabetes. Those are the keywords. This is what you go online to search for. These three things. Now, to get the good, to get enough material, it's not just getting what is relevant to you, it's getting enough materials that is relevant to you, as many. So we have to do another thing, which is search for the synonym of these our identified keywords. Synonyms for exercise, synonyms for quality of life, synonyms for diabetics. We talked about, you mentioned hibiscus flower just now. Hibiscus flower has a botanical name. Do we know it? Bitter leaf has botanical name. Do we know that one?
Yes. Belonia amygdalina.
So when you want to search for bitter leaf, you will search for
Belonia amygdalina.
So we don't just search for bitter leaf alone. We will still look for synonyms of bitter leaf. We will still look for synonyms of hibiscus flower. So now let's quickly work on that. We have exercise, we have quality of life, we have diabetes. So synonyms for exercise. Training. Synonyms. It's only those that are here that are talking. Fitness. Okay. Physical activities. What else? Have we exhausted that?
Wellness.
Wellness. Exercise.
Okay.
Jogging. Fitness. Okay. For quality of life. Wellness.
Better life.
Healthy. Wellness. For diabetics.
Hyperglycemia.
Okay. So, synonyms. We have not gotten to our answer. You know we've gotten synonyms to that. So you have to factor in synonyms. You have to factor in synonyms. The reason why you have to factor in synonyms is it occurred to you as exercise. It occurred to him as physical activity. So when you go online and you search for only exercise, you have denied yourself that very relevant article to your work that refers to exercise as physical activities. So that's why we have to think of that synonym. There are several ways of saying just one thing. Another thing we have to take into cognizance is that there are spelling variants. Spelling variants. Remember, we Nigerians, we write in British language. We use the British language spelling. But we also have the American. One good example is this favor. One will have letter U. The other will not have letter U. Dr. Baba says the second one is U-less. Then we have this organization. For British is what? We use the letter S. For the Americans, they use the letter Z. So you have to factor that into your search. If you had put letter S, it may not give you the ones that use letter Z. If you are in the strategy of doing. So by the time you are using all of this, by the time you are taking into factors, abbreviations and all, yes. We talked about ICT just now. information communication technology. Some articles we write it out, information communication technology. Some articles we use ICT. So in your searching, you have to use the two. You have to use information communication technology to bring it out. Then you have to use ICT so that you can get as many things that are relevant to that particular work you are. First example, synonyms for exercise. We said physical activity. Another person, sports. We have well-being. And we have diabetes. So we have to take into cognizance all of those synonyms. Then we talk spelling variants. Now that we know what we have to take into fact, what we have to be conversant of, what we have to be mindful of, how then do we now do our search to get only those things that are relevant to us? The first thing to do is to use the Boolean operators. The Boolean operators are just three. We have and, we have or, and we have not. So we have identified our keyword. So we go online, we go to the database, and we query for the keywords using these Boolean operators. So when we use the one for and, the system will search and bring you only articles that relate to those two. Take for instance, you are working on the influence of study skills on academic performance of your students. You want to see the influence of their study skills on their academic performance. So you take those online, you know the keyword, study skills, academic performance. And you input study skills and academic performance. It will not bring you materials that talk about study skills alone. It will not bring you materials that talk about academic performance alone. It will only bring you materials that talk about the two. Study skills and academic performance. Academic performance and study skills. The two. That's what you will get. You will not get anything that is not relevant to this. So you have narrowed it down. You have saved yourself the stress of opening this to find out that it's not what I want. Reading the title and saying, this is not what I want. And if we decide to use the or, you know, sometimes before we talk about the marriage of the two, you want to talk about what is study and what is study skills. Then you want to talk about what is academic performance. What has people said about study skills? What has literature said about academic performance? Then you do this. You use or. When you use or, it brings you everything that has to do with academic performance and study skills, staying at home and academic performance. Everything that has to do with academic performance will come. So you can have something to write on academic performance. Everything that has to do with study skills will come. So that you can have something on that. Everything that has to do with the combination of the two will come. Now, you don't want it to come in bulk like that. You just want to write on study skills. Take for instance what we have in blood cells, not erythrocytes. At this point, you don't want any materials that is outside blood cells. You use the word, the Boolean word not. The Boolean word not is very useful when you don't want to, if something is actually something very close, but you actually want just this particular one. So we have blood cells, not erythrocytes. So it brings you only articles that talks about blood cells. Only articles that talk about blood cells. Even if blood cells can be referred to as erythrocytes. Even if you can use it for this spelling variant. You only want the British people that have written on something organization, like Z. Organization with Z, not organization spelled else. Everything you will see, you will not see anybody spelling organization as S. So that is why you use the Boolean word not. We have talked about the spelling variants and abbreviations. So how do we use that one? For us to use that one, we use wildcards and truncations. Huh? Okay, sir.
I discovered that the middle sex sample do not platelet, erythrocyte, blood pressure,
The one, the Boolean word or?
No, as in all of that things they were written in like small letter.
Yes. Yes, the Boolean operator. Yes, it must be in capital letter. And we can also use the variant of and. And the variant is plus. You can just use plus instead of this capital AND. You can use the same thing for not. You can use minus. Thank you for the or slash.
So sorry, ma'am. What you just said? So the Boolean operator must be written.
Must be written in capital letters. That's when it will identify it as Boolean operator. Thank you. So we want to take into cognizance the truncation, the spelling variants now. So we're talking about wildcards and truncations. What do we mean by that? Sometimes, several words, we talk about this. You have the spelling. Then sometimes our keywords come in phrase, like we have well-being. Remember we said exercise, quality of life. Quality of life is a phrase. So when you impute it, there is a way you have to tell the system that this is just one keyword for me. Are we together, Santa? Sometimes we have our keyword as a phrase. Artificial intelligence. If we put artificial intelligence, that's what will come with the system. If you go to any database and you put artificial intelligence, it will bring you everything that has to do with artificial. It will bring you everything that has to do with intelligence. Emotional intelligence, what else? Academic intelligence, intelligence quotient. It will bring you everything that has to do with. It will bring you with everything that is not original, that is artificial. Then it brings you everything that is AI. So when we have our keywords as different words, artificial intelligence, like it's a phrase, quality of life, we have to let the database know that this is not just words, it is one keyword. And the best way to do it is to frame it. So we can use the phrasing, we can use the wildcards, we can use the truncation. Human rights is another example. If you put human rights, it will bring human, it will bring rights, it will bring. So how do we do this? You put it in quotation. We put it in quotation. That is the only way the system will recognize it as one keyword. So if you are doing exercise and quality of life must be in quotation. That's the only way the system will recognize it as one word. So that's another strategy of searching for literature and not going through stress. Another one we'll be talking about is white cards. White cards are used for something like when you have words that have the beginning of the word has the same spelling. It's only towards the tail end that you have different spellings. Take for instance this, create. You want to see. Someone may have used created. Someone may have used creating. Someone may have used creative. When you want to search for, let's say you want to search for something that has to do with nurses or nursing, would you go back and the first time you start, you type nurse. The second one, you type nurses. The third time, you go back and say nursing. No. There's a way we can go about it to do this. That's what we type white cards. Then there's a way we can do the one that has alternate spelling. Like when we talked about the letter S and letter Z. This is for women and women. When we want to do this, we don't have to first go and search diabetics and women. Diabetics and women. We'll be wasting our time. So there is a strategy of doing this. When we want to use the white cards, all we need to do, see, take for instance, yes, let's see this example. If you do this, remember we are talking about getting as much as possible relevant materials to us, not just getting anything like that. So let's look at this person that has used this. Nurse or nurses or nursing. The person got 1.9. But when the person decides to do it right by using asterisks, you see, the person got 2-point-something relevant material, not just irrelevance, not irrelevancy. These 2-point-something are actually talking about nurse, nurses, or nursing. So sometimes you write on a particular thing, and I write on that same thing, and I have access to robust information than you, and we visited the same database, simply because someone has used the strategy that can bring out the best much more than we can. So that's why we need this training. Not just having access to things that are relevant to us, but having access to everything that is relevant. So instead of having access to 1.9, this person has access to 2-point-something resources. And where that word can change, like nurse, we have E, nurses, we have ES, nursing, we have ING. This asterisk says, bring everything that is this plus any other letter.
So like creating now.
Yes. So let's all spell what we will put in the database if we want to use create, creating, creative, created. So what we will impute?
No.
What we see? Let's spell what we want to put there. C
R E A T.
Let's go again. No. You can write it in your note and let's spell it together. We want to use create, creative, creating, create, created. Oh yeah, let's creation, all of that. But we don't want to be typing creation, creative, create, created, create. So what we need is yes, not just T. T. Asterisk. We don't need a quotation. It's not. We are talking about. This is just showing what we don't need to put the quotation. Sorry. This. We don't have to put the quotation. It's not a phrase. It's just one word. The quotation is used for a phrase. If our keyword happens to be a phrase, that's why we want to use that. But for this particular one, the strategy to use is using that as spelling. Just spell that word to that point where you have different other spellings. Then the system will bring you everything about creation, created, create, creature. Everything that has to do with that spelling from that point. So we have saved ourselves time of going back and forth with that particular one. Then for the truncation, where we have spelling variants. Everywhere we have spelling variant, that's where we use truncation. For that we use question mark. You have, someone spells it as organization using letter S, another spells using letter Z. We want to look for woman, women. We have to make use of the truncation. We have to make use of the truncation. And the only way is just to put question mark. The word that is different, that someone can change. For instance, in that organization that we use as first example, that letter S that can be spelled as letter Z. Don't put S, don't put Z, just put question mark. So for women, don't put E, don't put A, just put what? Question mark. The example we have here is defense. So when we get here, we spell D-E-F-E-N, question mark E. Because some people can spell it with letter C, some can spell with letter S. So it brings you everything that has to do with defense.
Next station.
Using with letter C or letter S. Even this example will bring you this. D-E-F, defendee, the possible way of spelling defense. So you have access to more information, to more literatures that are relevant to your search. So, we want to try this activity.
Previous
Class
station.
work. We are all going to agree on a topic. We'll do number 1 and number 2 together. Then you do number 3. Put on your systems, please. We'll go around the room. Put on your system. You can use us for now. You can go to our system. So someone should give us a topic, please.
Role of social media on student academic performance.
Social media on student academic performance. Okay. So can we identify the keywords? Keywords. Role. Performance. Okay. Have you all noted that?
Yes.
So synonyms for what should we do next? Don't let me jump things.
The synonyms.
Media and academic performance. Social media and academic performance. Spelling variants of words. Social academic performance does not have spelling variants, does it? And it does not have abbreviation. I'm going around now, so I have not seen someone do the right. Go check. Go back to Google. For Google Scholar, she has 4.2 results. For social media, from Google, she has how many now? You didn't state. Dr. Baba, what do you have on? I have 4. You have 4.2. You don't take from. Our keywords can be a single word and it can be phrase. So when you say social media, it will bring you everything that talks about social. It will bring you everything that talks about media. We have done. We put social media in quotation. Then you use the Boolean word and. If you don't want to use the Boolean word and, you use the Boolean word or the Boolean word not. And you can decide to use the variant plus or minus slash. Then the next keyword happens to be a phrase to academic performance. So we are not talking about academic alone. It will bring you academic. It will bring you different types of performance. Music performance, anything performance. But until you put it in that quotation mark, until you put it in that quotation, it will not give you the right answer. So in a case like this is why we are here to learn. This is why we have come to know how to use this right strategy of sieving out the information that we actually need from the 1 million and one, not even 1 million, 1 billion and one information that is on the net. Take for instance, you got 4.2 something something. Sir, you got what? Those that use. Now, when we subtract 92,000 from 4 point something million, if you have to start saving the really relevant 92 from the 4 million that you have gotten, what is the guarantee that you have all of the 92 relevant materials? So that is why we need this strategy. That is why we have to bear it in mind. We have to be able to use those Boolean words. We have to be able to use the truncation. We have to be able to use the wildcard. Remember our truncation. What is the symbol for our truncation? Truncation is question mark. And we use truncations only when we have spelling variants. Women, defense, yes. And for wildcards, we use asterisk. We spell that word, we stop it at where we want the system to continue with anything else that fits in, and we use what? Asterisk. And if we have phrase, we remember to put it in. This strategy will help us to bring out only relevant materials to us as academics. Thank you. One thing I want to say is that it is always better for us as academics to start our research from Google Scholar and not just Google. If you go to Google, it will bring you 7,000,000.6 something. If you go to Google Scholar, it will bring you lesser millions. But you can be rest assured that this lesser million is relevant to your research work. So we have library resources and we have the databases that we can go to so that we can employ these Boolean words and get the best out of the database for our research. At this junction, please welcome Mr. Popola, the systems librarian.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Sholake. Please, can we give another round of applause? Thank you for starting the day with us. An introduction to searching the databases for our literature for our research. So, as we go on today, we are going to be deploying all these skills, the use of truncation, the use of phrase searching. We'll be using all these skills as we go on today. So what we want to do now is to look at what the UNIMED library has to offer to assist whatever we do in our research. Accessible through the library website. The library website is accessible through the university university website. From the university website, we'll see the library link at the top there. It's because we clicked on it, that's why it's showing in red. It's showing it's displaying in red, but that's where we have it at the top there. So once you click on the library link, it takes you to the university library website. And on the university library website, everything you need for your research are collated under resources. Resources. So we have resources. We have resources, and under each, okay. So under the resources, we have the databases, subject guide, and so on. So we first look at the databases. I hope you are following me. We are on the university library website now. So on the website, you can get to the university library website by clicking the library link on the, okay, you are there already. The library link on the main university website. So I say once you get to the university library website, right there we have resources. That's where we have all the resources you need collated. And the first thing under that is the databases. And that brings us a list of databases that have been created by the library, about 35 to 40 of them listed on this databases. Are we there? Okay. So the first one we have there is called Research for Life. Research for Life is actually our #1 database that we subscribe to in the university. And it's a huge collection. We'll have an introduction on that. The National Science Digital Library Preparatory. So if you go through the list, as I'm scrolling, you can see we have quite a number of them that are useful for research. But nonetheless, the ones that require login are the first two: Research for Life and JSTOR. We are still going to consider Research for Life. JSTOR is another huge one. So by using this page, you have access to all the databases that we have listed. Aside the databases, we also collated what we call the subject guides. Still under resources. The second thing here is the subject guide. Are we together? Yeah. Okay, thank you. Sorry, I'm trying to move fast because we still have so much to cover for today. But please call me back in case there's need for any clarification. So under the subject guide, what we've done is to actually collate resources that are useful around the internet for each department. These are not just journals or general resources, flashcards, exam preparation materials, and so on. And they've been arranged according to faculty. Then, for instance, let me go to the first one, BMS. Then to give us the list of departments in BMS. So if I go to, say, for instance, anatomy, if you give us the access, so these are the resources we have under anatomy subject guide. And that's how they are arranged for all departments that we have. And each of these are very, very useful resources for students, for teaching and all that. So those ones are subject guides that we have collated together at the UNIMED library. If we go back to resources on the menu page, on the menu of the site, you still see that we have e-books, e-journals. These are open access journals. Aside from the one we can access through databases, open access journals are the ones that we don't require login to access. And they are also arranged according to the department. If we go to e-journals now, you select the department you are interested in, nursing, surgery, whatever you are interested in. Then it brings out the open access journals that have been collated for that field. So this can be used to monitor what's going on in your field, to see what are the new things that are being published. Many of us focus a lot on journal articles when we are publishing. However, for our literature to be robust, for us to have a fantastic discussion in our literature, in our discussion session, even in the background, we need to use variety of information sources so that the story can connect and not just be tilted towards peer-reviewed articles. Because it's been observed that, especially when you are working on systematic reviews, it's been observed that a lot of information from peer-reviewed articles are tilted towards positive results. Because journals have something they are interested in, the publishers have what they are interested in, and the reviewers too. So what they accept are usually tilted towards what they are interested in. So there are sometimes that you have results that they will ask you to remove from what you are supposed to publish. So we have grey literature, which are materials that are not conventionally published, such as thesis, such as conference proceedings, and so on. Those ones are not conventionally published for the public. For instance, if you write a thesis now, it probably will just be in the university library. So, but they contain data that may not be published, and those data too are important. So sometimes we need to look at those when we want to have a robust discussion in our research. We want to look at different sources of information, and that's one of the things Mrs. Sholanke must have mentioned when she talked about the different types of information sources, the primary, secondary, and tertiary. So these are the things that. So this is one source for grey literature, the base search and the base search engine. That's one place we can. So all these search engines that we'll be showing you, these and the ones on the library website, the skills that we have learned, they are the basic skills to be used on all of them. The Boolean operators, the wildcards, the truncation, they are skills that we use on all these search engines. But we are now showing you different places you can go to get the literature that you want. So this is the first one we're showing. The next one is this Google Special Search Engine for grey literature. Google developed this separately. After developing Google Scholar, they developed this search engine separately for searching grey literature. And it doesn't have a specific address. When you want to go there, just search Google itself for Google Search Engine for grey literature, or search Google Intergovernmental Organization Search Engine. So it will now give you the link to it. It doesn't have a straightforward link. But when you search Google for this, Intergovernmental Organization Search Engine, it brings up the link, you click on it. So whatever result, when you get to this site, it will just be this, only this bar at the top that you will see. So you now input your keywords that you are searching, and then the result will come. But whatever result it will be bringing at this point will just be grey literature from non-governmental or intergovernmental organizations like UN, UNESCO, UNIMED, and things like that. So they will be relevant grey materials, because those kind of organizations usually have reports, and that was very important in the case of COVID, whereby research was not, primary research was not the go-to place, but reports from all these organizations were very important. So the next one we have here is called the NDLTD, the Network Digital Library of Theses and Dissertations. And this particular, I always mention it whenever I'm having this kind of class, I don't show this to students, because it's a database of theses and dissertations, projects, full text projects from page 1 to page 500 or whatever page it is. So it's for students, it can be something that may be misused, especially if they are undergraduates. They might just be going there to do plagiarism, to copy and paste. And if the institution is not good with plagiarism checking, you may not detect that. So this actual platform gives you access to full texts, full projects around the world, full theses and dissertations around the world. And I can remember the last class, someone asked, can I find my project there? Yes, it's possible. If your library is already digitized and your projects are there on the library repository, so it's possible. But this is from all over the world. You may just, in fact, it may be funny that what you are trying to work on, you just see that someone has written a full thesis on it, but one has to use it carefully to avoid plagiarism and all that. Okay, OpenEye is a database for biomedical images, talking about CT scan, talking about radiographs, and so on. You are working on something and you want the radiograph for the disease and the normal condition. You get wide arrays of images here. It's called OpenEye. Open Images is from the National Library of Medicine in the US. So it's very loaded. So that's, you are discussing something and you want an image that will project that discussion. It could be anything, as you can see on some of the examples here. there are several images that you can get from that place. I don't want to be going to each of the sites, but definitely you get our slides at the end of today. And so the links are there, you can always visit as the need arises. Okay, clinical trials.gov is a registry of clinical trials around the world. What is going on around the world in terms of clinical trials. So it's a registry that you can search for clinical trials. Okay, this is another registry for clinical trials as well. ISRCTN, another registry for clinical trials around the world. We are showing all this because we aim to, beyond the literature search for journal articles alone, our research should be robust and interesting, and we'll still get to a discussion on predatory publishing, and then we'll know some of the importance of making our literature review and our research manuscript to be robust beyond just journal articles. So these are another one. These are just sources that we can use. This is just like a, it's not a database for research. It's just like a news platform to get informed of what is going on. What is going on? What are the new things? LDS does that for you. Then MEDNA. The way the internet is configured, the making of the internet that we use today is such that we have what we call the surface web, the deep web, and the dark web. So it's like divided into three. The surface web. Most of the things all of us do, are in the surface web. And that's just the tip of the iceberg of what the internet comprises of. So if we know the iceberg, philosophy, that the tip of the iceberg is just what we see at the surface. So the surface web that most of the time when we are using internet, we are just using that tip. But the internet itself is inside, is deep. Then we still have the dark web. So the deep web is usually not accessible except by password, except by payment, except by someone giving you access to it. And that's part of some of those kind of databases that we have, that you have to, bring $35, bring $50, or maybe you have password. So we have deep web, then we have dark web down below. That one is a no-go area for us. Things happen in the dark web, but a lot of things happened in the web. So let's not go there. So, but for the deep web for research, this search engine is specifically made to search the deep web for research materials, MEDNA, biomedical materials, or biomedical research materials. This MEDNA search engine is their own focus is deep web. They want to go deep to get the results out for you, beyond what Google Scholar can just index, or beyond what Google itself can just index. So that's what this is for. Okay, then we have the TRIP database. The TRIP database is also another good tool to find clinical research evidences. There are additional ones, and I think we have one at the end. DOAJ is there too. We still come to DOAJ when we talk about predatory publishing. RefC is another one. Why we are showing all this is because there are times we get situations like, I'm not getting papers for my research, I'm not getting articles to review. But there are so many places you can go, and that's why we are showing all this. So if you are on one, many of us maybe probably use Google or Google Scholar. But in the list, we should at least use Google Scholar, not Google. So Google Scholar at least for a researcher, because Google is like a general market. Everything around the web, bring it. So when Google itself, when the company itself saw that it wasn't sufficient for research, they created Google Scholar. So our research will at least start from Google Scholar to get relevant results. So RefC is another search engine for that. We still have Worldwide Science too, science.gov. So many of them. This claim to be the largest collection of open access research. When you don't want to be hindered by, you need to pay. So this will just give you open access scholarly materials. That's what the core search engine does. Then we still have Google Scholar. Very useful. We are still going to look at it. Very, very useful. We have dimensions. If time permits, we get there to probably demonstrate, but maybe on your own, you can still go there later. It's a very, very powerful database, especially when you are thinking of getting data on research, metadata, like you want to know who is giving grants in this kind of study that I'm working on. So this can be, you can see once you make search, it gives you results for publication, it gives you results for data set, for grants, for patents, for clinical trials on the topic you have searched on. So you get to see so many metrics around what you are searching for. For instance, you search like Lassa fever now, you will see the top institutions that are working on Lassa fever. I think I used to see Redeemers University there from Nigeria. So you see the top researchers. You can see these filters. If you click on this, it will show you the top researchers that are working on what you have searched for, the top institutions that are working on. So dimensions come with a lot of metrics. It's a very huge database that one can explore. You want to see who do you connect with to work together, or who are the people that are funding research in this kind of area that I'm working on. Dimension will really give you such information. Then connected papers to say, for instance, the impact of social media on academic performance of some students. This is the title that I'm interested in. Probably I've checked the abstract or the full text and I saw that this work is really relevant to my topic. I want to get other papers that are just like that, related to that topic as well. So I'll just copy the title, go to connectedpapers.com. We have the search bar right there. So I'll put in the title there, paste, and then say build a graph. So it will first search the web for that paper and then show me papers that have that title. I'll pick the one that is my own. I think it's this first one by Gapers. So once I pick that first one, it will now build me a graph of other papers connected to that paper. Can we see what it has done? This is the paper that I copied. Let me remove this. Okay. So this is the paper that I plugged in. This every other paper are papers connected to that paper. So let's just look at them. If I click on any of these circles, you see the title will show at the side here. The impact of using social media on academic performance. Any of them, just click around. Analyze the effect of social media. So it's like it brought everything relevant at the same time. So more or less everything we have here, the list is here. You can go through the list right here. So, but it won't give you access to the full text. It will only show you the abstract. So you can now go ahead and search for that paper in full text if you need it. But we get the idea of how this works, right? Yes. Great. So it's a very powerful tool. It jumpstarts you. You are starting to get papers. You are able to identify one single paper, plug it into connected paper. It connects all papers relevant to it, and you are able to start your work as soon as possible. So, more tools for finding full text. If you have this, we are still going to look at Unari. That's our next port of call. Then all these ones too are other resources that we can use to get full text papers. Yeah. At this point, from what we've done with Mrs. Care and any of these sources we have shown.
Like the one, the example you that paper to connected, does it mean that all the paper that we have around that paper,
yes,
isn't it mean you must have cited that paper in one way?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily that they have cited, but the algorithm used by this tool is to like check through the papers around the web and see if they have similar content. There are many things that is used, but not necessarily that they've cited the paper. No. That one is another thing. We call it snowballing. It's another thing. But this one is whether it cited it or not. Since it has similar contents to it, it's connected. You can see there are some that are closer. There are some that are harder. So based on the evaluation of the tool, that okay, these ones are really clustered around there, or these ones they are related but far. So it's not about citation.
I just want to just try to repeat transferring of that particular keywords.
So connected paper. Okay. What I did was I went to what's it called, Google Scholar, and it could be any platform. What is important is that I want to look for one paper that is like closely related to my topic. It's more or less discusses my topic. So I picked the first one after my search, the first result. I copied the title. It's only the title that I need. So it's the title that I now took to connected papers, yeah, and paste into the search bar here. So once I paste, I say view the graph, and that's the graph. Once you paste, it first search for all papers that have that title, because there could be similar papers with, and there could be papers with similar titles. So, but the one we are interested in is that first one by Gilbert. So once I click on it, it builds the graph. So that's it.
Sorry,
yes.
I want to ask you, explain that we have a surface search, deep, and you mentioned another one, go area. So these categories of engines that you are introducing to us, like the base search, the Google Intergovernmental, Global ATG, Medna,
Okay.
what category are we going to put those ones? Are they still surface or deep? That is one. Then why is it that we cannot actually dabble into, going into the dark area? Is there something very special about it?
Okay, thank you very much for that, Dr. Anna. So the sources we have shown, the platform we have shown, the Medina, the Google Scholar, and all that, some of them indexes from the surface, some of them go into the deep. For instance, Medina goes into the deep. And the deep is just things that are behind paywall. You need password, you need payment, something like that. Those are the things that are in the deep. So while the deep may have index in the surface, that is something that shows that they are there. For instance, your abstract shows that there is still a full text. So there will be many of these sources index both the surface and then need password to get into the deep. So many of what we've shown will cover it. But the dark web is where a lot of things happen, like the Bitcoin issue. It's in the dark web. It's not something traceable. A lot of crime, criminal activities, criminal communications goes on in the dark web. They are untraceable issues. So a lot of internet crime goes on through the dark web, not the deep web. Deep web is still breakable. For instance, many of us use what do we call it now? To get papers. SIOP. So SIOP breaks into the deep web, right? So deep web is still something breakable one way or the other. We have the skill, but the dark web is not breakable. It's untraceable. And what happens mostly there are maybe government communication, crime, and so on. There are top government confidential communication that happen in the dark web. They are encrypted communication. You cannot decrypt it. So that's why I said it's not a concern for us here. But if you have interest in that area, it's another thing. But for this area, no, I don't have specialty in that area. It's just for our knowledge to know that this exists.
Well, you just said that if I have interest, I can see you.
I said you can go ahead. Not see me. So we have a resource to the platform. Many of us might have heard about research for life or UNIMED. But just to get us started about what it is and how it functions. Actually, the rationale behind Research for Life is that the World Health Organization and some other international organizations came together to say, okay, people from developing countries are not able to access research when compared to people from developed countries. So they brought a platform that can actually give us access, people to close the gap in access between developed and developing countries. That's the basic reason why we have Research for Life. And so like I said, it's a conglomerate of partners, WHO, FAO, UNIMED, ILO, and some institutions around the world that came together to actually say, okay, let's give the developing world access to research. So it comes with 5 authors.
access to health, research in health, agriculture, environment, and so on. So health is a popular area that we hear about, research to access to research in health. That's INARI. So that's one of the 5 platforms that are collated under Research for Life. Okay, so INARI was launched in 2002, and like I said, it's managed by WHO. Let me just not waste much time there. And it's restricted. Research for Life, I said, is restricted to public institutions in developing countries. So private institutions don't have the access to this, and it's something they've been clamoring for, but Research for Life says it is for non-profit organizations. So in Research for Life, just for our knowledge, there are 2 groups of countries in Research for Life. We have the Group A countries who don't pay anything, and the Group B countries who pay $1,500 annually. So we in Nigeria, we are in Group B because Nigeria still has higher, we are not in the lower middle income country. So our GNI goes beyond Group A. So people in Group A, as we can see in the map, are these other countries that we know about. So we pay $1,500 every year to access Research for Life. The university has been paying since 2018. So it's there for us. We have the password, we can access it. Okay, but the terms of use is that Research for Life allows us to use our password within the institution and outside the institution, but not outside Nigeria, and not on a laptop or a system that does not belong to you as a member of this organization or in this institution. So it's expected that you don't share the password. Don't share the password or username to people who are outside UNIMED family, because every institution is expected to have its own password. And if we consider what... Yes.
If I have a wife that is not a UNIMED staff, I cannot share with her.
A wife where?
As in not a UNIMED staff.
Not a UNIMED. So you are not it's not allowed now. Please, I can't answer that question. But really, the basic answer is that no. Because it's for you. If anyone outside the organization is not allowed to use the password. So okay, so those are the basic rule is just that make sure you don't use it outside Nigeria because it's tracked. It's tracked. The usage is tracked. Once you're outside Nigeria, don't use it. And when you are using it, use it on your personal laptop. Because what they allow is personal laptop for staff or institutional computers. So they know that these are the people using it consistently. And it has access to thousands and thousands of resources, books and journals, as we'll see in a minute. So that's just the brief introduction. I'll now go to the platform, researchforlife.org. So those of us who are connected can join me. Research for Life. Researchforlife.org. The 4 is number 4. Yes. Okay. So once you are on researchforlife.org, this is where it brings you to, and you need to click on this access contents and then click on login. Access contents and login. So once you log in, it brings you to this page. Yeah. And click on access contents. Access contents. And it takes us to the main platform. Yeah. So we are here now on Research for Life. Have you entered the user interface? So you can also click here to take you to the login page. Right here, and it's the same like the search bar as we have in Google Scholar, all those other places we have shown. So you can now input whatever you are looking for here, and then to bring results, and you have full text access to it. Are we together? Yeah. So this search bar is the search bar for Research for Life. It's called the summon search. So, however, what we are more interested in with Research for Life for the sake of medical field is PubMed. So we will go to PubMed from Research for Life. We've logged into Research for Life. We will now go to PubMed from Research for Life. The advantage is that we are able to access more full text than just going to PubMed without Research for Life. So how do we get there? Is by going to where we have content at the top, contents. You see among the menu at the top, and then you click on databases. Yeah. Nigeria does not have access because SCBA believes Nigeria still has money to subscribe to SCBA databases. So you don't. So that's why you can see that Scopus here is not accessible for us. Scopus is an SCBA product. So any SCBA article that you find through Research for Life will not be able to access the full text. So in that case, use other sources. Once you've exhausted them, contact the library. So those are the options that we have. The library can access, we have a number of other means. We have interlibrary cooperation with other, in fact, we have interlibrary cooperation with the National Library of Medicine in the US, and we've used it for some of our staff members before, where they had to pay $12. We have an account with the National Library of Medicine in the US, and anything we cannot get, and we've exhausted all our means. So we resort to that, and it's $12 for whatever, instead of $60, $50 on publisher site. So they only charge $12. I can't remember. I think the person paid in Naira. I had to be the one doing the conversion and sending the money out. But it's that one is the last resort in case we don't have. But before we get to that point, it will be hard because the person needed some very specific articles and they were not accessible until we had to use that. So we have other interlibrary corporations even around the country, around the continent that we can contact fellow librarians around and go, please I need this, and they can get it for us. So that's how we usually treat the ones that we cannot access. So let's go to PubMed. So are you on the list of databases? Are you on Research for Life? Yes. So you go to content at the top. Content, yes. And click databases. See more, and then you select PubMed. So if you open PubMed for you separately. And we've talked about several platforms that we can go to search for literature. PubMed is like when it comes to biomedical literature, PubMed is like the number one go-to place. Like the number one go-to place when it comes to biomedical literature. We want to search for something that is science, biological, biomedical related, PubMed, especially biomedical. PubMed is the number one go-to place for you. So, So I made a search for ulcer and Africa. And ulcer, I just searched randomly, not ulcer and Africa. So I have about 2,700 results. And we can see from here. If we look at the right here, at the left bar here, we'll see free full text, 1,003 something. Those ones are from the results. There are free full text with 1,300 and something. You can access the free full text. The total result is 2,007 something. Do we have that with us? Yes. But free full text are these. But because we are coming in from Inari, you can see Inari full text. Another 1,007. Are we together? Yes. So Inari is giving us more power. I mean, the Research for Life we are coming up from is giving us more power than just using PubMed directly. So if we have just gone to, PubMed without going through Research for Life, we only have access to this free full text of 1,000 something. But because we are through Inari, we have additional 17 joined to the result. So that's how we see that the results, we are more able to. So let me access one of them. The right side, full text link. So that's the link we use to, so I can click on, let me click on the first one. So with that link, okay, access your station, let me go through research for life. One challenge is that some publishers don't give us access. So it's not going to be all rosy, no holding is not publisher. That means Springer is also not giving us access. We can try us. And it will load the article, and we have 143 of them. So that means my result on Ulcer and Africa search, the search I made on Ulcer and Africa for clinical trials, we have 143 results from PubMed. So you can still filter more by different types of research, different types of articles that you want. And then I can activate the two of them, and then you just click on show. There's a show button down there. So it will now show me, so it will now come out at this place. At the filter panel, I can now select the filter that I want. As then, for instance, I want to select A. Okay, so it reduced to 5. So if I'm interested in clinical trials on ulcer in Africa in the last 2 years among males, 5 results in the last 2. You can see how irrelevant results are removed. Hello, are we together? Yes. We know Research for Life that we just left. We logged in and all that. So Google Scholar now has a function that when you search through it, it will indicate by the side that this article can be accessed through Research for Life, but you have to activate that link. So let's go there and let's activate that. These 3 bars at the top, at the left top, beside the name Google Scholar. So let's click on it. Let's click on those 3 bars at the top, and then click on settings. Settings. So it takes us to our Google Scholar settings, and then we can click on library links. Library links. Library links. Okay, good. Should I show that again? Yes. So the 3 hamburger menu at the top. We click on it, click on settings. This menu button at the top. This one. So then click on settings. And then select library links. So what Google Scholar does with library links is to make it easy for people to search what their library have access to around the world. For instance, if you are a student or a staff of Harvard University, you just activate Harvard University link there. Whenever you are searching Google Scholar will also be checking what Harvard has access to. So for us now, it is Research for Life that we are interested in. So we can just search Research for Life in that box. Research for Life, Nigeria. Research for Life. So you can just type Research for Life to bring a number of results. So we need to, they are arranged by countries because even on Research for Life, different countries have what they have access to.
What did you do after typing?
I just searched, enter.
Type of Research for Life.
Research for Life. I just searched, I typed Research for Life into that box. And enter. I'll click on the search button here. This one we are doing, once you've done it, is once. It's only when you deactivate it that it will go again. So you don't have to do it every time. Okay. Once you've done it on Google Scholar, anytime you are using Google Scholar, it's already activated until you deactivate it. So, and the advantage, as I mentioned, is that when you are searching Google Scholar, it's also indicating articles that you can access through Research for Life. So you have like something telling you that you can get this through Research for Life. The full text, I mean. So we want to activate that link. We say Research for Life. We need to select Research for Life Nigeria. You can see it's showing different countries. They are listed alphabetically. We need to move on to where we have Research for Life Nigeria. That was letter N. I am there. Yeah, then we can say save. at the bottom of the page.
Are we together?
Yes.
Yes, secret to or are you getting it? Okay, great.
So it brought out
What?
It brought out a page.
Yeah, if you take us back to Google Scholar. So it took me back to my own result. So it has already saved our setting as Google Scholar, Google Research for Life Nigeria.
Yeah.
So whatever search you make, let me run this search again. Whatever search you make, if there's any article about South Africa. And once that this link is working for me, let's see with other people. Is it there? Yeah. Okay. So you want to check if there are results that have research for life. Okay, so you can go and make a search. No, go back to Google Scholar. You can search anything related to your topic. I click on it. Are we getting results? I want us to, if there's anyone who has result that has research for life beside it. Where we have all these links, yeah, there will be more with research for life. I don't know why it's not popping up, so we can go to the next thing on the agenda. Okay. I think we are still doing good with time. Last week was not so good. So, we want to talk about another important aspect of research, which has to do with plagiarism, copyright, intellectual property, and so on. And this is important because we are all knowledge producers. We produce knowledge, we write articles, we read articles, and by doing all this, there are legal issues that are associated with what we are doing. Reading articles, using articles, writing from articles, and even writing our own and publishing our own articles. And these are the legal aspects of it. So intellectual property refers to creation of the mind. Just as we have properties on our own, your laptop is your property, your phone is your property, and your houses, your cars. The world also recognizes that whatever comes from your intellect, your head, is also a property for you, because you are the creator of that thing. So if you write an article, you write a book, you write a poem, you write a song, those are things that are covered by intellect. They are considered to be intellectual property. And being intellectual property, just as you won't want someone just to come and carry your laptop and say, it's now my laptop. You won't want someone also to come and take your article and say, it's my article. So it must also be protected one way or the other, and that's what this is about. Okay, all this background you see in the slide. So basically, the intellectual property rights are divided into two. We have the industrial property and the copyright. The industrial property are the ones listed here, the patents, the trademarks, and what they cover is that once you have an industrial property right on a particular creation, on a particular thing you have brought out, that means only you can use that brand. For instance, Coca-Cola brand is trademarked brand. So no other person in the world can say we are Coca-Cola, because they've received trademark intellectual property rights for that name. So when you have any creation that you receive industrial property on, that is industrial use of that thing, maybe you came up with for instance, we had one program recently at Laje where we had presentation from Professor Obo, and he mentioned things that they created in his lab, that they've been able to patent some and still trying to patent some. Patenting is important so that you'll be the only one to have industrial use, industrial release of that particular product. Otherwise, once another person gets it, they can use it if it's not patented. So that's the right covered on this side. The right covered on this side are usually things that has to do with
literary work, music, you have created the music, you have written an article, you've published an article. The copyright says, at least to some extent, there should be rights that you have on it. That you should be the one that have the rights to copy it, to distribute it, and so on. That's what's on this side. So let's look at the copyright, because it refers to us more as people who publish paper. So copyright is a legal term which refers to the rights of the creator, and the rights are to reproduce, to prepare a derivative from that work, to distribute, and then to perform the work, or maybe as a play publicly. So if I publish something that has copyright on it, that means you are not expected to take that book or what I've published and distribute it to others, give it to others, or reproduce it. Maybe you make more copies of it. It's not expected. You are not expected to just take it and make a derivative from it without my permission, because it's copyrighted. So when we are using a work that has copyright logo on it, that C logo, these are things that we are not allowed to do except we seek permission from the copyright owner. Are we together? So if you have a journal article or an image that you want to put in, maybe you want to make a presentation and you want to insert an image, and that image is copyrighted, just pray that you are still within Nigeria. Because in Nigeria, of course, many things we overlook, but immediately you get out there, the person that even created the image might be in the audience. And you'll be like, this man, what's going on? This is me. So, it's important to know this. When we see copyright or something, we should at least in the minimum give credit to where we got it from, and not just using a text, an image, a video, or whatever. And we'll see samples, I think. So basically, copyright protects two things. We have economic rights and the moral rights. Those are the two things that are protected under copyright. The economic right has to do with who can make money from this thing you have produced. That is economic value of that thing, of that product, of that article. Let's say you write an article. The economic value of that article is one of the rights. And then we have the moral rights, the moral value of it. Most of the time, what we do is to give our economic right to the publisher, and that's why they send you copyright form. That's what you sign, that you release the economic right, that you go and make money with it. If you read, I don't know if we read that thing that we sign. So what you are releasing is the economic right. That is, the publisher, you have given them, you have released the right to make money on that article to them, to make money. But the moral right is always retained by the author. That is, the moral right is at least mention my name when this thing is mentioned. It should be attributed to you. That's the moral right. So most of the articles we publish, we sign the copyright form, we have released the economic rights, and that's how the publishing world works before open access. We'll still come to that. So, but moral rights is not transferable. In most countries, moral rights is not transferable. The person that published the work should be called, the work should be named with the person. So it's not transferable. So basically, copyright lasts from 50 to 70 years after the death of the author. That is the lifespan of the author plus 50 to 70 years. So if you have a work that has gone beyond this range, you can use it anyhow. If you like, bring it again and say you are the one that wrote it. It has gone beyond copyright period. But once the person is alive, the copyright exists, and once the person is dead and this period has passed, the copyright has lapsed. So based on all these entry cases, some people came up with what we call, okay, let me talk about fair use. There is fair use to copyright. That is, if you are using a work for academic purpose, for educational purpose, you have someone's textbook, you are using it to teach students. Your use of a particular material is within educational use. Fair use covers you to use that material at least to a great extent without seeking permission from the owner. It's called fair use. It has a law on its own in copyright. So fair use says that without seeking permission or approval, there is no obligation on you to compensate the owner of the material. For instance, you quote from someone's work to teach students in your class. It's for educational purpose. You are not taking it out. Maybe you are a consultant somewhere, and you want to go and present that thing there where you will be paid money. No. If it's still within educational use, fair use covers it, and that's what we mostly leverage on in the university system. Okay, let me just go to. So, Creative Commons is another type of.
I have a question, please.
Okay. All right.
There was a time I got a material. I didn't know the material was not supposed to be photocopied. I catch you, this and that. I had to destroy that thing. I didn't know that I could release it since it's just for teaching.
All right. Thank you very much. So, fair use has limitations too. And one of the produce, and part of the production is photocopy. In fact, if copyright is working in Nigeria, many people will because we do so much photocopies of what we should not do. So, if you are photocopying something for someone, it shouldn't be the whole text. That kind of thing you cannot even do it outside Nigeria. You can't do it outside Nigeria, so make the photocopy of the whole thing. So usually 25% is what is, man, you are the one that has questions. Usually 25% is what is allowed at maximum that you can take out of a material at a time. 25% of that material. But once you are now taking it fully, photocopying, giving it another, let us pray it stays within. Though there are a lot of copyright issues around the world, but I think we are so docile about it in Nigeria here. But we should take note of it because we don't want to remain local.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And we should not take 25% today. And go back and take another 25%
tomorrow.
Now, still point.
So we fall in the same category, and that's a good one. Thank you, man. So by the time you are taking more than 25%, it's expected that you can make another thing from that work. You can cite it to make another thing. But if you are picking it wholly for educational purposes, don't let it go beyond 25% at a time. So Creative Commons is, because of all these intricacies with copyrights, some people got tired that because it's a big issue outside the country, a lot of legal battles in the courts that has to do with copyright. So some people got tired that why are we stressing ourselves? Once you create something, let people be able to use it. Why are you stressing? So they came up with the issue of Creative Commons intellectual property, and Creative Commons is simply some rights reserved. Just copyright is all rights reserved. All right to that work is reserved to the owner. But Creative Commons says some rights reserved. I will retain some rights and release the remaining right to anybody that wants to use it. And it has some levels. Let me go to the main levels. So we have 6 levels of Creative Commons. The first one is called Creative Commons BY, and that's saying Creative Commons attribution. So if you are publishing a manuscript in a journal, and that journal is assigned with Creative Commons BY, CC BY license, that means anybody using an article from that journal can use the article anyhow they like, with the condition that they should attribute it to the author. They can use the article to do whatever they want to do. Copy the whole thing, do photocopy, do whatever, no problem. But at least let the people you are distributing to know that this is the author. So that's attribution. The second level says share alike, Creative Commons BY share alike essay. That is, this is Creative Commons, you are allowed to use it. BY, attribute the author, mention the person that created the work. Share alike says, whatever you are producing from this work, you must also give it this license, this same license.
So you cannot say you are now making
copyrights. You can now say you use this work, you now want to copyright it. So that's what share alike is saying. If you use my work, if it's like a work has this license, if you use that work, you must give it that same license. That's what SA is saying. You must share it the same license that you got it from. The next one is CCBY. All of them has BY because that's the minimum. You must at least attribute to the author. So the next one is CCBYNC, non-commercial. Whatever you are making from this work that I've produced, if it has this license, you must know what you are producing from that work or what you are using that work to become must not be for commercial purpose. You must not make money from it. That's what this license is saying. So we need to understand all these things because we use varieties of resources around the internet and they all have meanings. But because our system here, but none of us pray to remain local. We want to go international. When you are going international, you must take note of these things. When you are presenting in a conference, when you are talking somewhere, you want to note these kind of things so that you won't be flaunting rules. So the next one is no derivative. Attribute me as the author, but don't make a derivative from this work. Don't turn it into another thing. That's the license. Then non-commercial share alike. Don't make commercial use of it, then share it with the same license. Then this is the strictest. Attribute me, that's CCBY, non-commercial, no derivative. Don't make money from it and don't turn it to another thing. So these are the issues. It's rare to see this level because it's stricter. So, but the more you go up, the easier it becomes. Most of the time, you just see this. You can use it. Just mention the author when you are using it. So that's what Creative Commons means. Let's move on. Okay, this slide, I don't think we even got here last week because it was so many questions we couldn't get here. So this is just to show us how to how to get open licensed images in Google. A lot of time when you want to make presentation, you go to Google to search for image, and you take that image. Maybe you are even teaching students. You take that image and use in class and things like that. So to actually get Creative Commons license in Google, that's what this slide is saying. Let me quickly go to google.com. Genetics. So I have images about genetics. Say I want to use a particular image here. So the way to actually narrow down to open licensed image, because images are usually licensed and even creators of images are more strict about the use of images. So to make sure that this search results is only showing things that you can use by Creative Commons. I mean images that are Creative Commons, we go to tools. At the top here you see tools. Are we together? Yeah. So if I click on tools, some options will come up. Right at the top here. Tools. Can you see beneath the search bar at the top? Tools here. Okay. Yeah. So once you click on this, some options will come up down here where you can use to set some things, the size of the image you want, the color and all that. But we are interested in the usage rights. Can we see it? Yeah. Usage rights. So I will now say Creative Commons licenses. That is, only show me images that have Creative Commons license that I can use anyhow. No more I won't be parting any rule. So that's what that slide is actually showing us. We searched on Google, you can search for anything, then we went to tools, and then we changed the license type to Creative Commons. So all those other options there, we can still use them like time and so on. We want to set the time for a particular time frame for the search and so on. But that's not a concern for today. Is that there are some other tools as part of the Creative Commons tools, and those are the public domain Creative Commons. That is, a work has been released to public domain. It has no license on it. It has no license on it, and that's Creative Commons 0 or no copyright sign. So if you see any of this sign on any work, that work has no license on it whatsoever. Creative Commons Zero, you are totally free. Whatever you want to do with it. It's just like a copyrighted work that the copyright has expired. So they are works in public domain. That's these two sides. This and this. Where we have the copyright cancelled or we have zero. So those two sides already tell you that work has been released to public domain. Use it anyhow you like. Do we have questions so far? Let me just go back to the issue of plagiarism. We all know what plagiarism is. It's actually an academic text. To simply define it, that is, stealing in academic is more or less what we call plagiarism. You take someone's work and you present it as your own. Or you take someone's idea and you present it as your idea without. And that's why we talked about the issue of copyright earlier. So plagiarism is what comes next. That is, taking someone's idea and presenting it as one's own idea. And there are many ways to this. So submitting someone else's text as yours, or carelessly or inadequately citing someone. You are not citing as you are supposed to cite. And these are some types of plagiarism. We have stealing, outright stealing. You are taking the sentence, you are taking the paragraph and putting it as your own. And then patchworking, not adequately. You are taking from yeah, and joining together to form a sentence. So that's patchworking. So it's a type of plagiarism as well. Because academics are expected to be genuine people who bring genuine intellectual content, not people who are taking other people's material. Then insufficient paraphrasing is another one. The person paraphrases, but not properly, to the extent that we can still trace the original text in what the person is writing. Then misquoting. When we are quoting, we are expected to quote exactly what the author has written. The way, in fact, if there is an error in what you are quoting, you leave the error the way it is, as long as you are putting it in quotation mark. The worst you can do, or the best you can do, is just to put a seek where we have the quotation, where we have the error. That is, if I'm quoting something, say for instance, I'm quoting this particular paragraph, and at this point, the person wrote exact as, maybe the person omitted letter A and wrote exact X without letter A when you want to write exact. If I'm quoting that paragraph into my work, I'm not expected to change this to exact because I'm quoting it. So I can leave it that way, or in front of that as X, I'll just bracket SIC, seek. Seek is a Latin phrase to show that I noticed the error, but I cannot touch it. SIC, seek. You italize it. In italicized form, SIC, seek. So you are telling whoever is reading it that the error is not from you. You saw it, but that's the way it is from where you are quoting. That's the best you can do. But now saying, because you know what the word is, you now want to. So when you are quoting, you quote the way it is. Then self-plagiarism too is another important thing that's common and that may be common among some academics. So you cannot reuse your own paper, recycle or reuse your own paper for using another work. You've written a paper, now you want to write another paper, you now copy the whole introduction to make another paper. So some of this may happen when we have maybe a research work that has several objectives and you want to break the objectives into a number of papers. And it's usually, the problem is usually around methodology, because methodology is the same. Even for all the work, even for all the papers you want to break, the methodology is still the same. So what is advisable is for you to first get the paper out, one of the papers that you want to publish. First get one published. Then every other one you'll be writing, you'll be citing the methodology of that one. And not that you just be copying and pasting methodology up and down. So the other ones you don't need to write the full methodology, you can just cite from the first one you have done. That's the best practice in this kind of scenario. So that's self-plagiarism. So how do we detect plagiarism? Of course, many of us already know that universities always tell us we want 15% of your work, we want 20%, especially PhD level, they might say we want 10%, 8% or something like that. That is percentage of plagiarism that is allowed in your work. Journals may give you percentage, universities may give you percentage, and so on. So how do we check this? Is the use of this software. We have the Turnitin, we have Grammarly, we have all these ones. But these 4 ones at the top, they are paid. They require payment before you can make use of them. They require you to pay before you can make use of these services. Turnitin, Grammarly, Pro Writing Aid, and Whitesmoke. Whitesmoke is actually the cheapest, but at least it still requires you to make payments. I think about $50 per month or so. So, but this one has a free version that we can use. So let me just go to the site. DupliChecker. DupliChecker. DUPLI from duplicate. DupliChecker. So let me just go to the site so we demonstrate how to use it. Sorry, I didn't know we skipped this area. So duplichecker.com. Just go to the address directly, duplichecker.com. Yeah. Duplichecker.com. So because we are interested in the free version of DupliChecker, it only allows us to check at a time 100 words. 1,000 words at a time. So, but you can, after 1,000 words, you can check another 1,000 words and so on. So, but at a time, you can only check 1,000 words. I'm just trying to get an article online. I will copy the text from it and scroll up now so you see the text here. Okay, so, we want to paste what we want to check here now. So, I've gotten an article, I'll just copy some aspect of it, maybe a page. Okay, so copy this. No, it's kind of so once you have your text from your manuscript, paste it into this box. Scroll down a little on your page, you'll see the box. Where's your DupliChecker? See the results so we know how to. I hope we are also running it at our own head. Okay, good. So let's see. I hope someone is running it with their own manuscript. So you can see what is maybe a manuscript you are already preparing. 100%. Analyzing results. 80%. So what DupliChecker will do is to tell us what parts of our text is plagiarized and where it's plagiarized from. So you can see 57% plagiarism. Like I said, these are already published one, we only copy from it, so it definitely must be high. So the result is saying 57% plagiarism, 43% unique. So there's nothing unique about it. Okay, so let's go down and see what the result is saying. So you can see every part where it got you. You see a fresh manuscript? 10%. So that's a good one.
I'm an ICT writer.
So whenever it's found something like plagiarized text, it will give you the source where it was plagiarized from. So for each thing it's highlighted, it will give you the source where the person plagiarized from. So you can always go to that source to check and confirm that. And most of the time, by the time you open it, you say that, oh, okay, I used this material too. So you can just come back to your manuscript, start rephrasing, you paraphrase again to make it unique. By the time you go through the results one by one, you will be down to maybe 5%. But there are some things you cannot change. Maybe like a standard deviation or something. So you'll be down to like 10%, 5%. So you can also download the result. Let's scroll down. At the bottom you'll see download PDF reports. So maybe you need to submit a report of the plagiarism test. After you run it and you see the result, you can download the PDF report of that plagiarism test. Let's just click it. So this makes plagiarism checking easier. Okay, so the result is out. So this can be printed and submitted or whatever you need to. And many of us can even make this a standard for our students. Run the plagiarism test and let me see the results. We hope to train students on the use of this so that they can always attach it to, you'll be guided as a, because many theses or many projects were produced by students, you want to take it further into an article. So it's better if you are taking care of plagiarism at the early stage, then when you want to change it to an article for publication in a journal, it will be easier. You don't need to bother about plagiarism again. So that's the report of our plagiarism check. You can see all the highlighted points, the sources where they are plagiarized from will be on that net, and we can download the report. So for the sake of Dr. Odipe that just want we use duplicate checker. I don't know if you're already familiar with it. We mentioned, because I know it's an aspect that many people want to hear about. We mentioned that there are paid software for checking plagiarism, and there are several other free ones too, but we pick duplicate checker because I think it's easier to use. So duplichecker.com, copy the text you want to, 1,000 words at a time. Copy the text, paste into duplichecker.com, run it, and you get the result. Yeah, so the result of the plagiarism check is what we are. And this is free, you don't need to unlike Turnitin or any other one. So this is the result that we got for this plagiarism test. Any question at this point? You can ask question. Any question at this point before we move on?
So because I know there was this Nigeria agency based that every university was doing.
Yes.
Like I don't know.
Iguscan. Yes. NUC came up with a plagiarism checker. No, it's CVC, Committee of Vice Chancellors. Yes, the CVC. I think NUC is also working on one, but I don't know how far with that. But that Iguscan is actually from the Committee of Vice Chancellors. But to the best of my knowledge, up till now, it's not working fine. In fact, I test run it not up to a month ago. I paid personally, though it's not expensive. I think it's 1.5 for individuals. So just to try it, but the output is not fine. So for now, I don't think it's something we can use. But any one of us can also. It's eagoscan.com. It's from the Committee of Vice Chancellors. But it hasn't gotten to this kind of standard that we are used to. Okay, so I think we've been able to cover plagiarism, and we can move to where we were going before we remember the secrets. And where we are going, where we want to be now is talking about avoiding predatory publishing and identifying journals for publication. Okay, let's do a little interactive session. Can we tell us what we understand by predatory publishing or predatory journals? Do we know anything about them? Anybody? Predatory publishing, predatory journal, any idea what they mean? That are not? Yes. Substandard journals. Okay. Those are things we can use to describe them. Any other offer that is different from what has been mentioned?
Fake publishing.
Good. Fake, and they are for money. In fact, the basic characteristic is that they want to make money rather than the science of research. They are interested in money aspect. So that launches us where we are going.
But before we get there, let's just give a brief overview of what scholarly publishing entails. The whole of science is represented by what would be scholarly publications. All science that we are doing in the world, we are in the lab mixing chemicals with whatever and all that. Just as depicted in this picture or infograph, you see that everything that is coming out from the lab, mixing, this is your literature, you are adding it with chemicals, you are doing all the experiment, and at the end of the day, it's coming out as a publication. A thesis, a book, a journal article, conference paper, whatever. So the whole of science is represented as this. And science grows by this process. That is, we do experiments, we go through the rigor, we think of solutions to problems, and we communicate it to the world. That's how science goes. What you communicate, another person will build on it. Do some more work, communicate to the world. And that's this publication cycle. Starting from the creation, you have the idea, okay, let's work on this thing, this is an interesting topic. Then we evaluate the idea, we look at work that have been done on it, we do the work, and then we come up to publication. After you've done the work, you publish, disseminate, it's preserved, and then some people access it again and reuse it, then another set of publication. So the cycle continues. That's how everything about knowledge has been in the world. Everything that is created from humans. They get the idea, they do the research, they come up with the product, then another people build on that, and the cycle continues like that. So without this cycle, it will be difficult for us to grow science or for us to even develop our civilization as humans. So, the publishing cycle, the publishing process has actually evolved over time from as far back as 1665, when we have the first journal. And those type of journals were actually based in institutions. So there was nothing like commercial publishing. It was just institutions publishing what is available, obituaries and things like that. Then institutionalization. In that particular century, 18th to 19th century, a lot of institutions saw it as something important, and departments started working on journals. Departments, faculties started working on journals and publishing journals. But later on in the 20th century, the commercial publishers saw that this is something interesting now. These scientists, they don't care about making money from this thing, and they are producing knowledge. Let's collect the research from them. Pancake it, put powder, prepare it, design it, sell it back to them. And then the commercial, that's how we have all these Elsevier, Springer, all these publishers, a lot of publishers. They do a lot of add-on to our work just to make it more presentable, the layout and everything, and make so much money from that process. But in the 21st century, in the age of digitization, because some people now saw that, okay, what you are now doing, you are not printing this research for us again now. You are putting it online. Why are we still paying so much to access them? Then the movement for open access started. People say, okay, we shouldn't be paying so much now to access research, especially with the fact that we are the producer of the thing. We are also the consumer. The researchers are the ones who produce research products, and they are also the ones buying research products. So people say, oh, no, open access is the way to go. So a lot of open access outlets came up. That is, you publish and it becomes readily available to the world without having to pay. People don't have to pay to access open access journals. So that was the movement that started. But that leads to the problem that we want to talk about, the predatory publishing. The open access movement was the one that gave birth to predatory publishing, because some other people now saw the opportunity that we don't need to publish, we don't need to print anything, we don't need to buy paper, we don't need to buy machine. Let's just set up a server, tell someone to bring paper, pay money to us, we put it in our server, the world can see it freely. So we don't bother about what the person has written in that paper. Just bring paper. We have published it. Where's the money? So, some other people saw the opportunity in that, and those are the predatory people we want to talk about. And predatory publishing has been growing over the last 10 years. It has become a serious issue in the world. And it's not just something that is, there's a slide I wanted to, okay, it's not something that is not around us. It's something that is with us here in Nigeria. If you look at the literature from 2013 up till this year, Nigeria has consistently been mentioned as part of where predatory authors and publishers are coming from. From 2015, when Jeffrey B., the librarian in the US, started published about predatory publishing, to 2015 when countries were ranked, to 2018 when we were third, to 2020 when Professor Taylor confirmed that Nigerian academics are actually patronizing predatory journals. And this year, the IAP actually published that the top 3 countries where predatory publishing is happening is India, Nigeria, and Pakistan. So it's not something we can shy away from. It's happening around us, and truly it's happening around us. I'm not saying in here in UNIMED or even in here in Boy, it's happening. Let's just take cognizance of that. So, why do authors publish in predatory journals? So this is from a research article. I categorize them into this based on what the author actually reported in the article. So social identity threats, that is, there are racial reasons. There are some journals that will not accept your paper just because they are from Africa. I mean, they just see that your work is not something we want to publish. So there are racial discrimination which is there, and it has been identified in research that is part of what is making people to patronize journals that don't give them stress. Then we have religious factor. These are social identity, English proficiency. Because some people are not too proficient in English to the standard that those people are thinking they are expecting. So they just rubbish the journal, not accept it. And the predatory journals are there, they don't care about your English. In fact, you read some journals and journal articles and you'll be like, what's this person saying? In fact, I screenshotted the journal article to someone recently. In fact, maybe like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks, and not just recently. A part of the journal article, I screenshotted that part, sent it to that person on WhatsApp. And the person was like, what kind of crazy author is this? That what rubbish is all this one he has written? Then I screenshotted the author to the person. I don't want to mention him or her. I screenshotted the author to the person. The person now saw the name, their name, his or her own name there. After he or she has commented that, what rubbish is this one that these authors have written? Because it doesn't make sense. What's in that article doesn't make sense. So we laughed, then I now screenshotted the authors and showed the person. She said, she said she cannot believe this. And what happened was that it was just put my name. She didn't even know what was in the text. They published, she didn't know what was there. And she was so embarrassed that this is my name in the public. So it's something that happens in English proficiency. You read some things and you know that, this doesn't make sense. But they collect money and publish it. And we'll come to why we should be avoiding this. So unawareness, there are a number of people who are not even aware that they are predatory publishers. In fact, a number of people just receive email, come and publish it. In fact, flattering emails. They can even call me that I'm Mr. I say, Professor Bukola, dear Professor Bukola. I receive a lot of emails almost every day. Dear Dr. Bukola. So they send flattering invitations for you to actually publish. And that's one of the things that some people are not aware. Once they see that they can publish and they will report high impact factor that you think, these are no go-get journal or something like that. So then low cost open access publishing. It attracts people. Pay $200, pay $150, pay $100. People can say quickly gather that one and pay. So, but that doesn't mean every low cost journal is predatory. But that's one of the things that happen. So high pressure is one of the reasons why people publish in predatory. Because publish or perish syndrome. you have to publish or you don't get promoted. So people who have not, some people who probably have not published in the last 2 years, when it gets to the promotion year, they want to publish like 5 or 4 within that 1 year. And sensibly, they are not in high volume. Maybe you are coordinating so many research clusters or maybe so many. It's difficult for you to say you want to produce 5 articles or 4 articles in a year. In reality, but except you have so many students working, then you can embed yourself in them, something like that. But that's one of the things that have been identified as why people patronize what's it called? Predatory publishing. So these are other ones. Let's move on because of time. Their characteristic, as Doctor mentioned, the basic characteristic is they want to make money. They don't care about the science of scholarly publication. The peer review is not their interest. It's not about, let's check what you have. In fact, last week I cited an example. Also recently, because things happen every day anyway, also recently, maybe about 2 months or 3 months ago, actually I mentioned this example somewhere. I had to make a presentation in Abuja. And this is an issue we should really take serious, because the stakeholders in the education sector are really focusing on predatory college, especially after the IAP report in 2022. When the IAP report came out, there was this roundtable stakeholders meeting that was called in Abuja. I was actually invited to make a presentation. It was filled with all these CBCs, NUC, the stakeholders in the education sector, really thinking about how to work on academics to prevent this. So if we are not preventing this from now, it might be at the point where you want to get to the top, the P, that they now say, okay, let's check all these your papers. Then they start throwing them away. When you already think you have 100 papers or 90 papers that will make you a professor or make you even an emeritus or something, and even beyond Nigeria, once they start seeing things like this, they start deriding you. So the basic characteristic, okay, I wanted to share an example. I sent an article to someone sent an article to me that I want us to work together, please. Okay, what have you come up, send me, let's see. I saw this work I cannot, so I have to sit down, revamp the whole manuscript, came up with a new one. But there was some data that were missing. So I created a table and in my response to the person, I sent the manuscript. I said, I wish I could just show you, but I don't want to go there. I sent the email to the person. I said, this is what I've been able to come up with. Please check table, so we need to supply it with some data. So I sent to that person. Say I sent that mail today. Today is 22nd. Then 25th, 2 days later, the person informed me that work has been published. Just about a few months ago, and this is real life, it's between me and that person. So what I sent back was, he sent the manuscript to me, I revamped it, came up with something new, sent it to him and said, okay, there's so table, we need to get some data to actually make up that table. But he didn't even bother about table or anything. Throw it out straight. And 2 days later, I just Mr. Walla, that article has been put. I said, let me see it. It took me to the system, opened the system. I said, please write them immediately that we are not publishing this work again. Because my name cannot be in this. So, in fact, I have to, because this is important, I have to send him a mail. I said, forward that mail to me. He forwarded it, so I have to reply that mail that, please write back to the publisher that we are not. Please, there's a battery on that desk. So I said, write back to them. I replied that email because of evidence. I wanted there to be an evidence. So he forwarded the mail. I replied that, please write back to them that we are not publishing this with them again. It should be withdrawn. And that is important. Once we observe that our name is in something, it's important to retract as soon as possible. Important to make sure we have an evidence that can show that we want to withdraw the text. Publishers, they don't review. Many of them review very little or not at all. They just, okay, this is how much you will pay. That's what they are interested in. So we should be careful with, in fact, we should avoid them. Okay.
So can another author not write the publisher requesting that he is not interested?
Yes, you can. You can raise issue. Definitely you can. In fact, another thing happened not too long ago. Like I said, things happen a lot. I have a work that is published, and someone in the US wrote a work based on my work. I'm the correspondent, I'm the lead author, I did the work myself here in Nigeria. We published it, and someone in the US picked the article, wrote a work on it, wrote a review on that article that we published, and that review was published in another journal based on my, it was written there based on the work of so person. But despite quoting me severally in that work that it was published, I didn't appear in the reference. So I wrote emails, like 3 emails, no response from the author. Then I wrote the publisher. I wrote the publisher that this has to be taken down or I will take it off. So they've been sending email that we should find a way to amicably resolve it and all that, something like that. We are still on that. But what led me to that is you can contact the publisher directly if there are issues. At least you raise issue. Nothing will happen. So,
I said those.
Abby? Yes.
Is there any time limit or range within which you can withdraw your data? For example, if you just discover after some years some errors in the data,
Okay.
is there anything you can do?
No, there is no limit, time limits. Once it's discovered, in fact, if you have time, you can be watching, there's a site called retractionwatch.com. They list retractions. In fact, I read a story from there last week. Very, very interesting story. The professor, in fact, it's published in Nature. The paper is published in Nature Communication, one of the topmost journals. And after publishing that study, I think it's on something, I don't know. But another people wanted to replicate what they did in that study. But they replicated severally, but they didn't get the results. They now wrote the author that they think there is something wrong with their paper, that they've tried this severally in their lab. All this happened in the US. They've tried it was published in Retraction Watch last week. They tried this in their lab, and it's not giving results. So they contacted them. Then the main professor now said, okay, let's look into it. They said, they replied to people that they will rerun despite that it has been published in Nature, that they will rerun the experiment. Then he now, I think what happened before was that he delegated people to do the work. He now stepped into the lab, did the work, and said that truly there is error in this thing. They now wrote Nature that they want to retract it. But it's a top ranking article in Nature. So they've been writing Nature since November 2021 till now. Nature has not retracted because it's making money for Nature. It's making citations have been coming based on that. But Retraction Watch published that case. It's a real life case. If you have time to check Retraction Watch because they publish cases of retraction. So there is no time. Once the error has been detected, contact the publisher that, oh, we detected the error, we want to retract. And that is allowed. So let's go back to our issue of predatory people. Their characteristics, basically they want to make money, they don't care about what we have written, how well the work has been done or written. They make false claims about impact factor. In fact, when you get to a journal site and you start seeing impact factor, they use another font to make it bold so that you see the impact factor 10 point, unrealistic impact factor 20 point something. So then you start, once the font has started changing, like advertising something. Real journals don't advertise like that. I mean, except real upcoming journals that still do advert. But real established journals don't really advertise like that. But I've not published in any journal that advertised to me before, except local journal, maybe Nigerian-based journals. But international journal that I've not published in one before. I search for my own journal, match my manuscript with it, and then publish it. So they do a lot of advertisements, inviting people come and publish and all that. In fact, they can even, in fact, there is a study, I don't, it's not in this, there is a study that was conducted to see how well the pediatric journals will put people into the editorial board. And that's one of the ways to know pediatric publishers or pediatric journals. Once you go through the list of their editorial boards, in fact, you can see someone that is maybe just wearing t-shirts. Someone you cannot trace in the editorial board. I've seen that before very well. They may claim the person was at also institution. If you go to that institution, you won't find the person. So they do a lot of short practices just to entice people. So another characteristic is that they accept articles very soon with little or no peer review. Very soon, immediately you send, within few weeks, they reply. Though many journals, even reputable ones, are now trying to fast track their publishing process. But really, I don't know, maybe it's me, but I think a serious reputable journal, you can't publish in less than 5-6 months. To me, from my experience, I have an article that is coming out at the end of this month. We've been on it for over a year. BNJ Global, we've been on it for over a year. I have article published that we've been on, the process took almost 2 years, back and forth. And I have articles that we publish maybe within 6 months or something. But once we start seeing something in few weeks, it has been accepted. At least, maybe after 3 weeks, you have first decision. That is first decision from okay, we need you to do something, or we are rejecting or something. At least many journals these days even state on their website the average time to first decision. Maybe 36 days, 40 days, they say the average time to first decision is so days. So you will know by the end of that time whether they are taking it further for reviewers or something like that. But maybe after 3 days or 1 week, you now receive acceptance letter immediately. That it has been done. Just this is the link to make payment, this is the amount you pay. Please know that that's a characteristic of pediatric journal. So many more characteristics we'll find there. Let's move on because of our time. So the drivers of pediatric publishers is authors who intentionally submit. Then our university system that's more focused on quantity than quality. So a lot of outside the country now, I mean, the academics are now focusing on what we call metrics. That is, if you go to some journal sites now, you will see like a ring with a score inside, metric score. They are now seeing how well are people engaging with your publication, how well is it mentioned in the news, how well is it mentioned in policy documents and things like that, tweets, and so they are looking at engagement around your work. What impact is it making, rather than the number of articles you have published. Okay, so these are some ways to identify pediatric journals. Usually they have titles that are similar to established journals. You might already know an original journal that bear a particular title. They will also go and they can create maybe a Cambridge journal or something so that you think it's from Cambridge University. But if you don't look carefully, you won't know that. So they have journal titles. And when you start seeing all these international journal or global journal or all these kind of titles, please start raising your red flag to look into them properly, because those are things that many times the publishers of pediatric publishing and pediatric journal rather, they will have several journals in their list that are not related. Like I'm a publisher, I'm publishing in GES, I'm publishing in surgery, I'm publishing in biology, I'm publishing in off-field. Like I have not focused. Although we have publishers like SCBI who have subgroups for different, those ones are established, but when you see a journal and you just list different things, like pick your own choice, library science, International Journal of Library Science, International Journal of Environmental Health, everything together in that. So you need to at least investigate further. And usually you see mistakes in them, in their works. When you read through it, some of their work, you start seeing errors, spelling errors, grammatical errors. They are easy to flag. These are other ways to actually identify them. Rapid review. They won't have clear review of the traction policy. But in many cases, the APC will be hidden. How much you will pay to publish will be hidden until you send the paper, they say we've accepted, go and pay some amount. So they usually hide. You won't see clearly how much are we paying to publish in this journal. The reputable journals will tell you, we are collecting $5,000. We are not charging anything. You see clearly on the reputable journal site. Then, like I mentioned, fake editorial boards, they list scientists that don't exist and so on. So let's move on because of time. Let's move on. So how do you identify them? These are some tools. So everyone 30. These are some tools that we can use. These tools are already linked. Okay, so let me move on. Okay, some examples of research misconduct in Nigeria as reported by Adile and Adebamu. Fabrication, data falsification, data fabrication, unauthorized use of data information. So these are the things that actually drive predatory publishing, because when people have fabricated data, I cited an example last week too of a paper that I read, and the person published the paper stating that in the methodology they surveyed librarians in UNIMED. And I know because they surveyed librarians in UNIMED. The article is based on, it's a study, and the subject of the population, the subject of the study are librarians in UNIMED. And I just thought, I know this person, I don't know when the person surveyed me. Like, we are just 4 librarians here. There's no way you can draw sample from 4 people. So you definitely include me. And I know the author, and I definitely, not that I'm not sure, the person definitely did not give me a questionnaire that is stated that in that work. The person did not give me the questionnaire, but the work has been published. Data falsification. So it's happened, all these things happen around us, and the easiest way to publish sources are what's it called, predatory journals. And you now see someone, they will list, some people have become professor with these things, so they but the Nigerian university system is actually looking into this more now. From like the instance, what I said there, but a lot of policies will be coming up soon to say, okay, we need, and even our present regime in our university is really interested in where are you publishing. Is really interested in it. I think there is something coming up around that we need to be as evaluating where we are publishing before we use our publication for promotion. So these are other useful resources that we can use to actually learn more about predatory publishing. Then this is about how we identify journals for our publication. You've written a manuscript, you want to match it with the journal. Where do you go to find the journal? So these are tools from different organizations. We have the Open Journals, Matcha. So SBR Journal Finder is a tool for you to, you have the manuscript, you are trying to find a journal for it. So that's what these tools do. And it's actually good to do this when you are starting out with the manuscript. Once you have your concept, maybe you have your research, you have the concept of what you want to publish. Because it's good to tailor your manuscript to the journal recommendations, journal regulations, not after you have finished the paper. So this is Elsevier Journal Matcher. It's requesting for us to put in the title and the abstract of the paper, and then it will help us to search a journal that will match that. So let me just demonstrate it. So once you search, it brings results, the journals that are available for that particular study. And these are so, for what I searched, this really matched, these journals really matched where we can publish that paper. So you will see acceptance rates. This is one of the things you will know good journals. The acceptance rates are low. Acceptance rate, the rate of acceptance of papers they reject most. But many of them reject, like this one now, that means they reject 97% of manuscripts they receive. So you can see, but there are papers there are journals that are really, especially for those of us from Africa, if you are not doing something that will really be interesting, they may not accept. So there are many journals there. We can see their metrics here, the impact factor, the acceptance rate, time to first decision, the time it takes for you to get the first decision from that journal. So if you want to see more from that journal, you can now click and go to the site to see more on that journal. But these are not open access journals. The first link here, the first link in that slide, these are open journal matcher. We actually find you open access journals. So, and in some of those, you may not even need to pay. You may not need to pay in many of those. So, it's still the same process. They will ask you for the abstract to publish them. Yes. So, yes. I don't pay to publish. I'm sorry. For international journals, I will request for waiver. I'm from developing country now. So you write them request for waiver. Many of these big journals outside the country has waiver policy for researchers from developing countries. So that's the first thing I want to search for to see that I can get waiver. Because the one I said is coming by the end of the month, it's £5,000 to publish in it. It's a very high impact journal. Where will I get? How many years will I work to get £5,000? So, all right. So these are tools. When we get this slide, we can. And DOAD is a very good one too. Many of us already know the Director of Open Access Journals. You put in the title or the area or the subject of your study, and it brings the journals. We can now evaluate them. It will already show this one no charge, this one charges $1,000, this one charges $5,000. So it will show the charges, and you can evaluate based on that. So at this point, any other question? I think we've really moved, and we've encroached into the time for another thing. Any question, please?
Because I know of a journal that the review period is very short, and they don't.
So that will probably be published by an organization or an association or institution or organization, not a commercial publisher. So most times when institutions publish journals, they want to do it free. They encourage submissions and all that, or when they are just starting. So it's highly unlikely because today the journals are not interested in anything you are writing. It's the money that is important.
Anyway, the reason why I asked that question is that one of my a paper I submitted have just been accepted.
Okay.
So though the paper I've sent to some journals before that have been rejected. So after some amendment, I sent it to this advisor, and within 3 weeks, they've given me feedback, accepted. Okay. But the journal is free. That is what I'm asking.
Okay. Well, to the best of my knowledge, it's impossible. It's nearly impossible for a free journal to be rejected. So we may just want to investigate further about that journal. Maybe they are just starting, or maybe there are some other. But of course, the experience we've had with rejections will have improved that paper. Like one of the papers I've had about 5 rejections. I was just reviewing. So rejections, to me, rejections it will make my paper better. Because by then I'll just I'll bring it back. Then if I immediately you reject my paper, I'm taking my manuscript to a journal higher than yours, naturally. Because I'm going to do another perfect work that, okay, thank you for this review. I'm taking it higher. That's always my default setting until any other thing goes wrong. Thank you, sir. Any?
Yes, please. In this recent time, I know that individuals can create some form of what to say about it. I think there's a search engine or a tool that individuals can use on their own to copyright their works.
Well, if the work is self-published, you are the one publishing it, you can choose any copyright license you want. I mean, whether the conventional copyright or the Creative Commons. As I answered Dr. Salami, you can choose whatever you want and put on your work. You are doing out the work. But if you are passing it through a publisher, there will be in-house policies from that publisher. The publisher will tell you, this for our company, we use so copyrights, maybe copyright or Creative Commons license or something like that. And whatever you publish with them will be bound to follow that in-house rule. So if it's self-published work, of course there are many tools. It's just to create the copyright logo and download and put in your work. You copyright. That's if you are self-publishing by yourself. But if you are passing it through a publisher, a journal or any other commercial publisher, they will tell you what they accept in their journal, because there are many things like making money and all that they want to take into consideration.
What I'm saying this is there are some articles and some papers which they have not been published, but somehow you want to use it to teach the students or a group of audience. So somehow such materials need to be protected first before you send it out.
Okay, if that's the case, I think it's better to be careful with releasing it out once you have not published it. The data is still with you, and you want to use it to teach. So it's better to I don't know how to be discreet with presenting such data. Of course, people are not expected to just take something and go and publish, but a lot of things happen as you have mentioned. But to the best of my knowledge, it's better to be discreet until you publish that before you start presenting. But if you are presenting maybe in a conference, that's already a form of publishing. You are already introducing it to the public. So there could be a conference proceeding from that. There could be a book of abstracts, which we already have some level of copyrights or intellectual property rights on it. But if it's something that you have not released to the public, it's better you do that step first before you start sharing around.
Because I'm also aware that such materials,
yes,
when they are going through review in
yes,
some faculty, some departments, some sector, there are people that somehow they say steal the materials of the data.
You mean the reviewers?
Even the audience.
I'm trying to get you properly. If you send a manuscript to a journal.
So you've not sent it out.
Okay.
You are presenting to an audience, and they are listening to you, reviewing your paper, but some are busy collecting your data to somehow to do some.
Well, that's very unscrupulous, but nevertheless, if you are presenting in a conference, you are covered, because that conference will definitely have a book of abstracts that shows that you have presented it, or in fact, better still, a proceeding that shows that you have presented it. But if it's a maybe a university seminar that has no record or something, but in fact, university seminar may even have record, maybe a memo or something, in case you need to fight someone because of it. But I don't expect that we come to a presentation and someone is now snapping or stealing data being presented by another person.
Because I've seen where it caused some trouble.
That's why I say a lot of things happen in this our country as we have. So one should just be careful and protect his data. After all the up and downs is money, we've learned how to access paper, we've learned how to copyright and all that. We now want to learn about what we call a reference management system. Reference management software is basically what they do is to help us keep our references, our citations in one place, so that when we write manuscripts, we easily cite and we easily reference without having the headache of where did I get this from, or where is this journal and things like that. They keep it in one place. So they are not the one that will help us write,
they don't write for us. You are still the author, you are still the one writing. Their own is to manage the references. So let's understand that from the beginning. It's just to manage references, but it makes our work easier because the headache of referencing is out of it. For instance, Dr. Ariel mentioned the case of having some rejections. You might be rejected by a paper, by a journal, and then the other journal you want to send to requires you to use another style of referencing. And that might, in fact, there are papers that have been condemned because of that, because the author may not have such time again to now start converting to, there are some references that maybe you use like a style that requires you to number 1, 2, 3, and then now they need you to convert to author date citation. So now you need to start writing, one by one fixing that, and that might be many and could be really could be uninteresting to some. So it makes it easy. You want to change from one citation to another, just click a button, the whole thing has changed. Harvard to APA to whatever. So it makes it easy for you to do that, and then to manage your references and make sure you are not getting any reference loss. So let's dive into Mendeley. We can launch our Mendeley desktop software. So Mendeley is one of the reference managers that we have. There are a number of them, several of them, Redman, Mendeley, Sotero, EndNote, but Mendeley is free, Sotero is free, and that's one of the reasons why we are focusing on this. And more or less, they all do the same thing. What makes Mendeley better than Sotero? Mendeley is not better than Sotero, and Sotero is not better than Mendeley, but they have some aspects where some has better function. For instance, for instance, Mendeley works better with grabbing articles from the web easily, and all the components of that article. Mendeley does that better. Zotero does the work of deduplication better. When we work on systematic reviews and you want to deduplicate, for those who work on, you gather references, you want to deduplicate them. Zotero does that better than Mendeley. But Mendeley does the work of grabbing. So I started that example and I said, okay. So we have several, and we definitely will not say one is better than the other. But this is, of course, one of the tools that, one of the reference managers that we can access freely. And in fact, even more favored by me, because I can access it from anywhere, even if I'm not with my laptop. It has a cloud version that you can access, as you will see. Literature into the Mendeley library, because that's the first work. What you want to cite, you must have identified it first. Mendeley does not know what you are working on. You are still the one that will still do your literature search and identify that, oh, this paper is useful for me, this one, and then add those papers to Mendeley library. Are we together? So the first step is building the library, adding papers to the Mendeley library. So how we do that is by number one, you can see the file button at the top. Okay, let me activate the files. And below it, we have the add button. Add. So either you use the file button and you say add files. Add files. So add file simply means that you've already downloaded a file on your system, maybe a PDF article. You now want to add that article to Mendeley library. That's what add file does. So if I click on it, I'll need to just click the magnifier. If I click on add file, it will come up with a box, a dialog box, asking me to locate the file that I want to, just as if you want to attach a file to an email. So you locate the PDF, select it, and say add to it. Okay, let me just locate one. Download. Okay, let me take this one and say open. Just uploaded. Mendeley will extract the details from it immediately. The authors, the title, it grabs the detail. The author, the title of the work, the year, the journal, and the time you added it to Mendeley library. I just added it to 204 p.m. So it's extracted from that PDF immediately. Are we together?
Yes.
So you are not the one that will now be typing author date on that that's extracted it. So that's how we add files. Once you download a file, you can add the Mendeley. There are easier ways, so we are coming step by step. But that's one way. You already have a PDF, you add to your Mendeley library. Another PDF, add to your Mendeley library. That's one way. Another way to add, let me go back to file. You can see add folder. Is the second option. You can add an entire folder, that is a collection of files, just as we have folders on our system. Maybe you've downloaded several PDF in one folder, and the entire folder you want to move it into Mendeley. So you just use add folder, the same process. It will open the dialog box. It will open the dialog box for you to select the folder you want to add. And once you select it, everything in that folder will be added to your Mendeley library. That is, they will be indexed like this. Title, author, everything will be extracted from them. Are we together? So that, let me close this. Third step, I'm going to file and say watch folder. That's the third option here. Are we together? Third option is watch folder. And what that function does is, you have a folder on your system that you use for research or maybe a particular study. You want Mendeley to be watching that folder. Anytime you download anything into it, you should add it to your Mendeley library. That is, be watching this folder. If I download anything into this folder, add it to my Mendeley library. That's how watch, and it makes things easy. You don't need to be the one to be add file, add folder. Once you set watch folder, you have told Mendeley, be watching this folder. Is that clear? So that's another method. So we talked about watch folder, Dr. Adeyemi. It's the third option, watch folder. And what it does is, you set a folder on your system and Mendeley will be watching it. Anytime you download any PDF or any material to it, Mendeley will add it to the Mendeley library. It will be watching it, just like you have someone be watching this place. Anything that comes in there, bring it here. Yeah. So then add entry manually is the next option. And that comes in if you have a book with you. It's not a digital material now. You are the one holding the book and you don't have the detail online to copy from somewhere. So you are not the one that will now enter what type of material is this, what's the title, who is the author, the year, manual entry of the detail of that document. Maybe as you are doing your research, you got a book from the library, a particular aspect you think, oh, you need to cite this book, and you return that book to you. So you just get all the details here. You can return the book, the details have been stored here. Are we still good? Yes. Because I really want us to take it step by step. Okay, so with that, if we do all those things, we will end up with so many things in our Mendeley library. We will have added references, many references into our Mendeley library. Okay? So what we've been able to do, let me go back. What we've been able to do is to add, to learn how to add all these all these references. There's another option here, import. Let's say you are using the reference manager before. You want to move to Mendeley. You can export your references from that one and import into Mendeley. Just as we have Mendeley now, I can export everything in my Mendeley library to take to another reference manager. Or for another, there are other purposes we can use for. That's why I said what we are doing today, they are just basic. No, but there are several other purposes that we can need to export. There may be need to export what is here for another use. So import is for importing an RIS file, the RIS file. And export is for exporting what is here to another reference manager, maybe Sotero or any other one. So let's move on because of time. So the same function that we saw on that file are what we have under the add button here. If you click on the arrow beside it, it's still add file, add folder, watch folder, still the same thing as we have on that file. And then And these two buttons are to create folders. The way Mendeley works, this left panel, this left panel of the Mendeley interface, they are navigation panel. They work as our system is categorized into folders, my documents, my download, and things like that. So all these four set of folders in Mendeley, you always find them there. All documents. That is, all documents that are in Mendeley will be shown in that folder. If you go to recently added, you will see documents that you just recently added to Mendeley in that folder. These ones are recently added. Recently read. Articles that you recently read on Mendeley will be shown there. And things like favorites, articles that you have favorited. I need this article. I mean, maybe you favorite it that, like style it. In our mailbox, we have a star button that you want to style a particular mail. Still the same thing. I will talk about how we do that. Neat review, we'll come back to it. Neat review is that Mendeley wants you to check details of these particular things in the Mendeley library and see that the details are correct. So, we'll come to how that is done. My publication, your personal publication, unsorted, then different files, different folders rather. So Mendeley works the way that you can create several folders. You are working on one topic today, you create folder for that one. All the materials you download will go into that folder. As you can see, PhD work, Ijero training, library workshop, sexual health research with someone, sexual sleep health research with someone, social media, Carnegie assignment. So you can create several folders so that your everything will not just be lumped up. You can easily, for instance, if I want to refer to maybe UNIMED study, there's a study that we are doing in UNIMED, the references that we use are in that folder. So, and the button right there under all the folders is the button you use to create folder. You can see the create folder button. Can we all see that, please? Yes. Okay. And it's also still the same button at the top here. Right here. Create folder, remove folder. It's still the same, it's a shortcut at the top here. So I can create folder, I can remove folder at any time. Alright, good. So, okay, the next button here is very important. It's called the synchronize button. Are we all there? Yes. Okay. The sync button works in a way that it's to Mendeley library online. When you are working online, you don't even need to download. There's an easy way to just grab. So if you use that easy way to just grab, everything you grab will go to your Mendeley online library. For them to come into this, you have to sync. So it synchronizes what is here with what is online. If I delete any reference here, if I delete this particular reference now, it will not delete online until I sync. Immediately I sync, it will also delete in my Mendeley online library. Do we get the idea? So it synchronizes the offline and the online Mendeley library. So now, let's move on. I think we've gotten the basic idea. So the middle panel lists all our references, while the last panel lists the detail of it. If I select any reference here, the detail of that paper will be shown to me here. The title, the author, the abstract. So whatever folder you shows on the left, whatever folder you shows on the left panel will determine the content in the middle panel. Because these are the content of the folder you have chosen. Are we together? Yes. If you choose a folder here, if you create a folder, what will be shown here will be what is in that folder. And what will be shown in this one is any of these references that you select. The detail of that reference will not be shown here. The title, the author, and all that. But you want to add it to Mendeley. You read another one, you want to add it to Mendeley. So there is an easy tool that we can use, and it's called the Mendeley Web Importer. So to install the Mendeley Web Importer, we go to Tools at the top here. Tools. Click on that button to install it. Has it loaded? Yes. Oh, okay, good. So once you've installed it, what we want to achieve, follow the, the prompts. After you click on that, follow the prompts till you install it, and we have the logo here at the top. Immediately, web importer icon will now be at the top of the browser like that. You can just close that. I'll just close the sync function. That page, what is on that page is interesting, is citable for you. It's something you want to cite. You just click that button to add it to your Mendeley library. So let's demonstrate that. So I'll just go to, say, for instance, I'll go back to Google Scholar. So I made a search on Google Scholar, and it's about people of unknown origin, all that. So this is the article. Maybe I go through the abstract, or I even go through the full site. I say that I'm interested in this. So I may not need to say I want to download. The easiest and the fastest way for me to add it to my Mendeley library is just to click the web importer button at the top. And once you click it, it will ask you to sign into your Mendeley. So it will sign you in, okay, and then show you the detail of that page, what is on that page to capture it. Are we all good with that? But it works the same way. You have folders created in your Mendeley library. You just need to click the drop down menu here and then select the folder you want to save into. So, for instance, I'm not taking it to any folder now. It will just be in my Mendeley library and just say add. So I click on add. It's adding. Then you can see it has checked reference. That is, it has added it to my Mendeley library. This is online now. You know we are online? Yes. Okay, good. So with this, I can go on with whatever work I'm doing, open another page, add another thing, keep your last filter. So I remember what we did before, we filtered by mail, and then clinical trials. So they are still affecting my result. That's why I'm getting 6 results for this search. So it's showing me filter applied. So I need to clear that filter. All I need to do is just click on the web importer. It will load what I have on that page. You can see. So these are the results I have on that page presently. So I can select the one that I want. Select the one that I want. If I want all of them, I just select all and add to my Mendeley. So it's just easy. If you are on connected papers, just click it. Mendeley will load all the citations. If you want to remove any, you can remove them. Add to Mendeley. So everything goes straight into your Mendeley library. And you can select, remember you can always select folder here. If you are working with, want it to go to a particular folder, just click the drop down menu, select the folder you are working with, and you are good to go. Are we together? Okay, so let me just add.
Except I have a question.
Okay, sir, please go ahead.
Okay, with the Mendeley reference place, help you to identify the reference image.
Yes.
I'm asking a question.
Yes, sir.
You have to arrange it.
To arrange it.
Alphabetically.
Yes, we are coming there. You will see the magic. We are coming there. It will do all the work when it comes to reference management.
Okay.
So what we've done is to grab. We've learned about how to add manually, how to add from our desktop, how to add by watch folder and all that. This one is how to add from online. You are just online. You go to a web page. You add to your any web page. You add to your Mendeley library. You add to your Mendeley library. So now let me go to my Mendeley library. If I go to recently added, you probably notice that what I just added online is not here because I have not synced. So remember, whatever you've done online is online. So for you to show offline, you must synchronize. Once you have synchronized, Mendeley desktop doesn't have anything to do with online again. Everything you'll be doing is offline on your system. But for what you've done online to come into this place, you must synchronize. So let me synchronize.
All what we've been doing is just
just load our
Mendeley library. You know, you are searching for literature, so you are adding them to your Mendeley library. As you are identifying them, you are adding them to your Mendeley library. Okay, so let me synchronize for that one to come in. That one that I added. Okay, it's synchronizing. You can see the progress bar at the bottom. So it's showing the progress as it was synchronizing. So,
the library is showing just 2 panels. I thought it was supposed to be 3.
2 panels.
It's 3.
No, this is online. You are online now. You are not on the desktop. So the online library shows like this. The top panel will come up if you click any of these citations. Just click any. So it come up right here. So we are still going there. Maybe you are ahead of us already.
No.
So I've synced, and what I just added as coming. Let me magnify. Okay, so that's it. You can see it's already in my Mendeley library. So once you synchronize, even if you've added 100 references while walking around the web through Web Importer, everything will just come in, bam, and we are ready to go. Have we gotten into that stage? We'll move on to another stage now. Okay, good. So what we've been able to do is to build our amended library. We've identified papers that are useful for citation in our work and all that. So let's now go to using that, everything we've done in our manuscripts. So I'm opening my Microsoft Word. Let me open a blank one. We want to install tools, install MS Word plugin. That is, we want to link Mendeley with our Microsoft Word now. And because I have it installed in my Microsoft Word already. So what we want to do is to link Mendeley with our Microsoft Word. So you go to tools and say install MS Word plugin. If it's already installed, you will see uninstall, so you don't need to bother. No, not Microsoft Word though. You don't need to open Microsoft Word to do that. To start our work. What we want to do now is now to start citing in our manuscripts and then generate reference lists. So I'm opening my Microsoft Word. You can generate any text if you have. Let me just generate random text. 5 paragraphs. Okay, so I just generated random text. Say this is my, what's it called? This is the manuscript I'm writing. So I want to, at the end of each paragraph, insert citations, which I've already, I've loaded the citations in my Mendeley library. So I need to just put the different ones at the appropriate place. So the first paragraph, let me start with that. You need to place your cursor where you want to insert the citation. So I've placed it at the end of the paragraph. Then you go to references at the menu bar at the top. Go to references. So at the top, one of the menu you see is references. And once you click on it, you see this group of Mendeley tools. They are named Mendeley Cytomatic. This group of Mendeley tools. The first button, the biggest one there is insert citation, and that's the one we want to use. Insert citation. So let me close this one.
Please.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am.
Okay. Did you do from tools in Mendeley, did you do install MS Word plugin?
MS Word, no.
I mean from Mendeley.
It was only
Install Web Importer.
Yes.
No, the next thing is now to please, but you need to first close your MS Word if you've opened it already.
Okay.
Close it, then go to tools on this and install MS Word plugin.
Okay.
That's the only time you can see it in MS Word.
All right.
Have you done it? Okay, please do and join us. Okay. So under references you will see Mendeley tools. I want to insert citation, so just click on insert citation. Insert citation. Then this dialog box will come up asking you what do you want to, you need to tell him and Mendeley the author you want to insert. Right? You know you built your library already. So let's say I want to insert Popola, just search Popola, or anything you can remember about that article. Go to references. Asking you to look for that article you want to cite. If you can't remember any name or the name or author or title of the article, you can go back to Mendeley Library by just clicking that go to Mendeley button. This button here is go to Mendeley. That's you want to go and select it from the library. So let's first try that. Go to Mendeley. So it takes me to my Mendeley library. So let's say I go to the folder of PhD work and select this particular reference. Then the cite button will be at the top here, right here. Cite. Are we together? Are we together, please? What we want to do is to insert citation at the end. Let me click the one that has it. At the end of this paragraph, we want to insert a citation there. I said the way to do it is you go to references, and under the Mendeley group of reference, you click on insert citation. So I click insert citation now, and it will bring a dialog box that I should identify the paper I want to cite. One way to do that is for me to just type anything I can remember about that paper here, and it will search for it. Maybe, for instance, I search, let me just type John. Maybe John is the author. Then it will list all the articles that has John in them. Then you can select the one you want. Or if it is the title you remember, or any part of the title, you can just type it here. If you list them, then you can select the one you want. So let's first try that before we go to the other one. So I pick one, but it won't go immediately because there could be need for multiple citation. So it has selected the first author that I picked. So I can still search for another author now. So let's say Popola now. Popola. So I pick this second one. It's still asking me if there is need for more. So I can go on and add citation if there are multiple citations. So once I'm done, I'll just click OK. OK. And then the citation is right here. Are we together? So that's the citation, Owusu et al. 2013, Abiamu, Popola, and so on, 2019. It has inserted it. Okay? Okay, so let's insert another one through the other method in the next paragraph. So I'll put the cursor at the, it's not, wherever you want to insert the citation, put the cursor. So then I go to insert citation. But this time around, I can't remember the title or the name of the author, and I need to go back to my Mendeley library. So I'll just click on this, go to Mendeley. Are we together? Yes. Okay, so go to Mendeley, we now open the Mendeley library. Takes me directly to my Mendeley library. I cannot select the folder that I want to work with. Where, I already know my folder. I'm the one that created folders there. Are we good, please?
Yes.
So I say I'm working on the folder I want to select is PhD work. I've selected that folder, then I'll select any citation that I want here. So let me just select this one. Then the cite button, it's just that it's not clear. The cite button is right there at the top here, beside the sync. The cite button will come there. The cite button is ordinarily not there, except you come from Microsoft Word, say go to Mendeley, it will show. Are we together? Yes. So okay, I've selected one and I'll click on Cite. So it will bring it straight to my Microsoft Word. Are we together? Yes. CO 2010.
Yes, I just have one question.
Okay.
The question is, like when you are doing this, I can see that you have selected one referencing style.
You are still coming to have to change the style.
Like my own, I
number.
just have like number.
Yes, we are coming to that. This one, that one is just a click. What we are doing now is we are citing.
In the citation.
insert citation, in-text citation, that's what we are doing. So to change it to another format or to generate the reference list, we are coming there. But at least we've known two methods. Once you click on insert citation, you can type the name or the author or anything. It will bring the list, you select the one you want, you okay it. Another method is you can't remember. Once you click on that one, insert citation, you go to Mendeley to go and select what you want. And that's the way this one got here. So let me show you one more thing, because there could be situation whereby we have direct citation, not indirect like this. Direct citation is like, let's say, Coca-Cola 2020 stated that themes and styles, you know, that one will not be in bracket like that. It will be Coca-Cola, it's only the 2020 that will be in brackets.
Yes.
So that's direct citation. Coca-Cola will stand as a text. The citation will just be the year.
Yeah.
So how we do that, let's quickly do it here. So I'll go to the beginning of this, insert citation. So let me just say Coca-Cola. Let me pick this again. I don't want to pick that one. Okay, this is not it's twice. Okay, so once you pick the one you want to put there, just click on that citation that you have selected, still in that search box. Let's just click on it. Some options will show. Then you can click on suppress author. So we want to insert Coca-Cola, something stated that themes and style. So I'll go to, I've already placed my cursor. I'll go to insert citation. Then the box will come, but I've already magnified. Okay, good. Insert citation. Okay, so I can search Coca-Cola or whatever you want to insert. I'm picking this. So once you pick it, let me magnify further. I hope it's not anywhere. Okay, nonetheless, if it has inserted this, just click on that citation. I think that's even easier. Click on it. You'll see that the insert citation button will change to edit citation. Okay. Let me remove this magnifier. I've inserted the citation here. So click on it. That insert citation button at the top will change to edit citation. Okay. So let me click on it. So if you bring that box again, then I will click on that name of the author. Okay. It will show some option, and one of the options is suppress author. So if you click on that, you click OK, it's only the year that will be there. But it has captured all the details of that citation. So I can now type in front of it, Coca-Cola stated that, whatever. Are we together? So this 2019 is standing as a citation here. Are we together? Yes. So we've inserted our citations now. We want to generate the reference list. So I'll just go to the bottom of the page, or another page, whatever any you want to do, references. It's alphabetically. The reference, even if you insert 100 references, 1,000 references, citations rather, everything will just come down. The list of your references. And that is it. Formatted according to the style you are using at the moment. Because that's the next thing we'll talk about now. So we have started our references. So let's assume we want to change. I think we are presently working on upper, but the styles are also right here at the top. You see style. At the top here, you see style. You can click the drop down menu to select the style that you want. And there are several other styles. You see more styles. So say for instance, let me just pick this.
Seventh edition.
Yes, this is APA 7th edition. You can see it has formatted it immediately with the indentation. What was there before, I think, is the Harvard style. But presently is the, if I go back to Harvard now, start it right now, you can see it removed the indentation because Harvard does not take that. Yes. So if you go straight to APA, just say APA 7th.
format it again. If I go to maybe a numbering citation like IEE, Vancouver, yeah, good. Let me get more styles. Vancouver. Okay, you can see immediately it changed my citations to numbering. All those citations that I inserted, Coca-Cola 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Because I changed the style to Vancouver, and the reference list has already been formatted accordingly. So that takes away the problem of referencing, managing the reference, citing them properly, formatting them properly. Mendeley takes that headache away. Are we clear to this point? Yes. Well, I think we can take questions and go on that.
Thank you.
Any question, please? Thank you very much.
My last question is on the last aspect there.
Okay.
Some journal will require that the numbering should be superscript.
Okay.
Maybe you are getting a journal. Instead of normal 1, 2, 3, 1 should be superscript. Okay. Superscript. I'm talking of the text.
Okay.
So how will we now
okay.
about that?
I don't think Mendeley has that function. I've not seen it. But you can just highlight the, what's it called? The citation and just make it superscript. So you can just highlight the citation and make it superscript. Yeah, I will say if there's any function like that.
No, that's why I asked you. That's why I asked you that question. Because like mine, when I do that, it was on America ACS.
Question. We have groups. The group function works in the manner that maybe we have group of people that are working together and they want to be sharing the same references. So I can create a group and then add everyone here.
I want to thank the organizers of this program, of the workshop. Initially, when I saw the mail that there's going to be another workshop, I thought, you taught us all this last year, so why coming again? But another thought was telling me this is an academic community, and there will be something new to learn. And I want to thank you that you have not disappointed us. You have really upgraded yourself, and you have not been selfish to hold on to all those things to yourself alone. So on that note, I want to say thank you very much and God bless you. Amen.